Will you be sick as and when they win the title?
Oh my God! I think I'll switch off my phone for like 2 weeks. My phone will be off for 2 weeks if Arsenal win the Premier League. But I still think they're gonna bottle it. You know, there's still, there's still time for that. Don't worry about that. It's 6-7 games.
8 games.
They always find a way. They will slip up. They will find a way.
But are City good enough to take advantage?
That is the thing, though. City keep slipping up as well. But I think right now, I don't think City will lose any game from now till the end of the season. I think they're going to go. They're going to press that button right now. They're going to go for it. I think Pep Guardiola right now knows that this is the crunch time. But when I look at the games that Arsenal do have, I still see them dropping points. They still have to play City at home as well. So, so away at City. So
yeah, that's right.
Arsenal, the history of the football club tells you that they find a way of messing it up.
Let me ask you another question that I think might annoy you, because Arsenal's style of play this season has been criticised.
Oh.
But whenever they get criticised, the response I get from Arsenal fans is that Mourinho used to park the bus. We just play like Mourinho's Chelsea.
We used to pack the bus, yes, but we won legally. When I watch Arsenal play right now, they depend solely on corner kicks. You have spent almost $1 billion, Mikel Arteta, almost $1 billion. And you're telling me the only way you can win games is through corner kicks? It's ridiculous.
But does it matter how you win, John?
It does matter. It does matter.
Why?
They're winning ugly.
You'd love to be in their position at the moment.
I would love to. The only reason why the Arsenal fans are not complaining with the style of football that they're playing is because they're top of the league.
Yeah.
If they're not top of the league, they will complain that they're not enjoying the type of football that they're playing.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van range. Commercial vehicles that go the distance for your business. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van centre.
With your headlines at 3 minutes past 10, I'm Nick Ellaby. Good morning. Harry Redknapp's told us he'd be in the Spurs dugout right now if Daniel Levy was still at the club. And after a call with the former chairman last week, Redknapp suggests Levy has hard feelings about how it ended.
He was explaining, you know, what had happened to him and how he sort of got marched out of there, which was really strange, wasn't it, really?
He was marched out there?
Well, you know, I think he was, I think it was quite, you know, unceremoniously exited from the place, really.
Harry also joked he'd take Jamie O'Hara as his assistant if that call ever comes. Now, Pep Guardiola accepts Man City don't have much chance of progressing in the Champions League now. That's after Real Madrid's 3-0 win. Meanwhile, Liam Rossini is taking responsibility for his team's capitulation. Former Chelsea striker Tony Cascarino questioned those late changes.
I personally thought, don't let it go. You cannot let this go 5-2. If you're 2 goals behind going to the bridge, you still got a really good chance.
Is it over?
Well, it is for me.
It did end with a 5-2 PSG win. Pedro Neto gave his shirt to that ball boy he pushed over. Neto said he's sorry and apologised to the lad as well. In the Championship, Frank Lampard's trying to keep his Coventry players' feet on the ground as they go 8 points clear.
I'm not trying to play a game with you, but I just know what this football game is like. But when I see the team play the way they did tonight, it gives me a good feeling because they played in a team that was really determined to get the job done.
Cov swept Preston aside as second-place Middlesbrough lost at home to Charlton, and Steve Tandy's named an unchanged Wales 15 for their final Six Nations game at home to Italy. Wales are trying to end their 15-game losing streak in the competition. More at talksport.com.
talkSPORT News.
The government minister shares the public's moral outrage over Peter Mandelson's payout, and more Iranian attacks on cargo ships drives up oil prices again. More from the news team.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Whatever the weather, our range of services is longer than the queue at the chippy on a Friday night. Tyres, MOTs, brakes and more. Book today at quickfit.com.
Heavy rain across Scotland and Northern Ireland. That's pushing into England and Wales this afternoon. In the southeast, patchy rain, showery and colder further north.
morning, everybody. You're listening to Jim White and Simon Jordan, and we are live on talkSPORT. So, after a group stage clean sweep for English clubs, have the Champions League knockouts provided a sobering reality? Whose second leg challenge is the most insurmountable? Meanwhile, when does football tribalism become a hate crime? Also today, would the Spurs owners be weak to defer to the players? Should the old firm care about optics? How many years away are Chelsea from being contenders? And from midday, we talk boxing with fight pundits Adi Oladipo and Duke McKenzie. Jim White and Simon Jordan live on talkSPORT.
100% engagement. Jim White and Simon Jordan on talkSPORT.
Well, Cheltenham for us has come and gone.
You lucky fellas.
It was quite a show yesterday, Simon, I have to say. In the BetMGM studio, overlooking the racecourse.
Yeah. Slaves to the betting company.
Well, you no doubt we're back here getting beaten at paddle tennis, but it was quite a show. And John Obi Mikel, if you're listening this morning, boy, did you set the cat amongst the pigeons. He's very opinionated, as John Obi.
That's helpful.
Upset a lot of Arsenal fans.
I suspect that was probably
with what he said. Yeah.
What did he say?
Yeah. That if they win it, as and when they win it, what they're doing is illegal, the way they're trying to win the Premier League title, and he would not recognise them as Premier League champion.
Oh, that will steer into the narrative that Martin Keown and Emmanuel Petit want to advance, which is there's a bias, because that's nice objective, isn't it? Because Chelsea were always wonderful. They were always on the money. They never pushed the envelope. They never did anything wrong.
We pointed that out to him. Yeah, we pointed that out.
Did you see how good Jack Draper played the other day against Novak Djokovic yesterday?
No, I did not.
Very good.
How did it work?
He beat Djokovic 3-1, but it was a hell of a game.
Okay,
well done, Jack.
Well, you claim to be a friend of Jack Draper, so get him on this show.
Well, he's busy playing in the tournament right now, but I'm sure when he stops hitting balls across the net, he might find some time. Yeah.
No, that'd be good. That would be good.
Hell of a result.
Yeah, well done, Jack. Well done, Jack Draper. Simon, after a group stage clean sweep, have the knockouts provided a sobering reality for the Premier League? 6 Premier League teams into the last 16 and not one winner this week. What's it telling us that? What it tells Henry Winter, incidentally.
Tells them when they were playing away from home.
He says on Twitter, I feel the winter break debate coming on again in the Premier League. It's obviously needed. Even with expanded squads, elite players risk fatigue, less training time, etc. But too many vested interests preventing it from happening.
Oh, let's clutch those pearls and get some more interviews from people. Look, all the teams were playing away. That might give you an indication that there was a challenge there for a start. I mean, nobody expected Spurs to win, so let's discount that equation. Chelsea hurt themselves.
Liverpool were at home.
Liverpool were at home. Newcastle were at home. That's the one example, and they got a decent result and actually should have won that game. So you look at it and say Arsenal did their job. Liverpool probably did their job. Chelsea imploded and gave it back to PSG when there was no reason for it. Spurs are what they are, and Man City got some of their own medicine.
I'm not sure Liverpool did their job. Galatasaray, and you lose.
Everybody in their right mind would say going away and coming back with a 1-0 defeat in a European competition, a knockout tournament against another significant side is not a bad result.
So no sobering reality for the Premier League of any sort this week?
Well, it depends what reality we were creating from in the first place. If we were steering towards
PSG PSG got real with Chelsea last night.
Not really. Chelsea did it to themselves. Chelsea were in that game for significant proportions of it, and all of a sudden, up pops the goalkeeper with one of those wonderful little epiphanies. Let's play out with the back like some religious ideology, because we can't launch the ball. We're going to play out from the back because that's what we've been told to do.
Yeah, but there's a small matter, Simon, of them shipping 5 goals as well.
Sure. If they didn't concede the third, they wouldn't concede the fourth and fifth. Yeah. Yes, you're right. The game got taken away from them, but there's no way in that game was that a 5-2 result, besides the fact it was 5-2 because
it was 5-2. And it was 3-0 Real Madrid against Manchester City. A depleted Real Madrid, sweeping Manchester City aside. Valverde did it on his own.
Yeah, I wasn't. But the thing is, what you're asking me to do is respond to a narrative that I never created. I didn't say it was a wonderful thing. It was a foregone conclusion. All 8 teams coming into the group stages were going to dominate Europe. I said, let's see how they get on in the group stages. We've had half time. Let's see how they get on. Let's see how they get on in the second legs. Now, of course, when you go to Real Madrid and play them at the Bernabeu, it's always a difficult game, irrespective of who they've got. I mean, they haven't exactly got a bunch of slobs in their side, have they? I mean, they've got some of the top players. Whether they've got no Jude Bellingham, whether they've got no Mbappe, they're not exactly bereft of other talent, as we saw.
Whose second leg challenge do you think feels the most insurmountable then?
Well, who do you think? Spurs, right?
I would say Spurs. I would say Newcastle are going to find life tough in Barcelona.
But they always
Do you think Chelsea are still in it?
Yes. But I think the challenge for Chelsea is that they've got to score so many goals now that they're going to have to be open to do it. And in order to do that, you know that PSG are going to score. And if PSG score, then you've got to score 4. And so with that in mind, it's not beyond the wit of man. It's not beyond the capabilities of this Chelsea side. But there's still a side that's developing into a side that's mature enough to be able to see games out. They're good enough in these games. They're clearly good enough in these games, but they're not good enough throughout the entirety of the game. And that would suggest that is an element of maturity and wiseness and game management and all the different facets that make a side overcome circumstances or stay in a game and not find themselves in a situation. I mean, this, 2 of the PSG goals, or certainly one of them, was a worldie. So you can't legislate for that, albeit Reece James got turned over too easy for that particular goal. But the bottom line is that can they overturn it? Yeah. Balance of probabilities, probably not. Who would you pick to go through is the question. Probably Arsenal, probably Liverpool. And maybe just out of the ether, you might get one against the odds. And if you get 3 teams going through, well, I don't know. How many other European clubs have got 3 teams going through?
Having said that, though, Simon, if it's not a sobering reality, and I'm not trying to do them down, I'm just telling it as it is. If it's not a sobering reality, it's a pretty poor showing.
Why? These are so let me get this right. Because
PSG have been misfiring this season. Chelsea go there and come away 3 behind for the second.
So let me get this right. This is the PSG that misfired last year, that barely qualified through the group stages, that went on to win the competition, that are sitting where in their league? That's our version of misfiring.
So is this not a poor showing from the Premier League then, in any description?
Well, it depends what you characterise it as. I didn't characterise it as we're marching through Europe and we're going to win every single one of these games and we're going to dominate European football.
I didn't think Chelsea would concede 5.
No.
I didn't think Manchester City would lose by 3 in the Bernabeu and not score.
True.
I didn't think that. I thought has happened with Spurs.
Yes.
And we'll get to that.
Yes.
I thought Liverpool might win, but certainly would draw in Turkey.
I thought they'd get beat like they did last time.
I thought Arsenal might go at Leverkusen and win, but Arsenal very much in it. But they are the league leaders, the Premier League leaders. And I thought Newcastle have done very well to keep it at 1-1. And yes, they're still in it, but they're not really.
Well, they didn't really do well to keep it 1-1. They should have won that game. They should have seen it out. They were 1-0 up. They should have, and that's a bit of experience and a bit of opportunity.
Yeah.
And Barcelona, come with such a reputation. They're not the greatest side, Barcelona, the greatest version of themselves, but they come with a huge amount of cachet. So you look at this and say, yeah, Man City get beat 3-0 by Real Madrid. Man City are more than capable of reversing that at the Etihad.
Really?
More than capable of course they are. This is Manchester City we're talking about that can blow teams away, as we have seen them do previously. Now, whether they're going to do it to a Madrid side that's very wise and very canny and operates in this space very well is a different matter.
Oh, you're right.
What is interesting is somebody's given Pep Guardiola a happy pill, haven't they? Because this is a very different animal. I don't know whether he was listening to Danny Murphy last week talking about the fact that he wished he'd enjoyed life a bit more because he's won everything. He's the best in class. He never looks like he's always got a face like a smacked arse. In this instance, he's all of a sudden, he's a happy little chappy. He was thrilled on the weekend against Newcastle. He was very relaxed in his post-match interviews. This is a very different Pep Guardiola. Maybe he's got a new girlfriend.
Simon, I'm glad you mentioned Pep. If this is to be his last season, is one Champions League trophy from a decade of Pep's City a remarkable return?
Unremarkable.
For all the wrong reasons.
An unremarkable return.
Yeah.
Well, don't forget, you see, that when he went to Man City, they had no experience of winning European competitions. All the bleeding players they bought, of course, had experience of it, and the manager had experience of it, but that was the reasons why, for several years, it was a pass for Manchester City not to win the Champions League. What I might venture to add is a possibility, and it's just flying a kite here. The reasons why we don't win the Champions League as regularly as some of these other sides is because our domestic leagues are bleeding harder. They have more games in them in terms of the other leagues have less teams in their divisions. Our cup competitions are more meaningful in terms of our domestic competitions, and all of those may have an impact because when you look at it pound for pound, manager for manager, player for player, irrespective of the resumes that these clubs have, because you don't play their resume, you play their players. So it doesn't matter they had Puskas and Di Stefano and winning European competitions back to the 50s. It matters what's happening here and now. And the fact is that there must be a reason why arguably the best team in Europe for some time that's dominated English football, put aside the last 18 months, hasn't been able to dominate Europe. And I would venture to add that it might be because of the nature of the participation in a league that from top to bottom doesn't just financially eclipse the other leagues, it eclipses it in terms of jeopardy and competitivity.
So maybe Henry's right. We need to return to the winter break discussion.
Well, right to what end? Do you want to diminish your Premier League? You're already doing your very level best to do it. You're finding as many possible ways as you possibly can to introduce governance and guidance and independent financial regulators to turn the most successful leagues into something different. You're already trying that trick. So if you can find a way, Henry, with your little epiphany, of how we can wheedle in a winter break to be able to meet the schedule and the expectations of the finances of football, then fill your boots, tell everybody how they're going to do it, and everyone will sit and bow at the temple of Henry Winter.
Okay. One wonders if Chelsea are still in it. And let's look at Chelsea and listen to Liam Rossigna, the other side of this break, because yet again, just like Tottenham earlier on in the week, but not quite as spectacularly as Kinski, it was a story about the goalkeeper. Liam made his decision and he is sticking to it. But the goalkeeper last night, Philip Jorgensen, didn't exactly cover himself in glory. Chelsea find themselves going into the second leg against PSG 5-2 down. It's Thursday morning. Simon and I will talk boxing with Spencer Oliver and Adam Caswell, who are over in Dublin, to watch Anthony Kakache later on this morning. Coming up to 12:20. Boxing from 12. It's a busy one this Thursday morning. Live on talkSPORT.
Guess who Spurs play second last game of the season? Chelsea.
Yeah. We're gonna have to make
how would
sure
you
we get them
approach that
down.
game if you're a Chelsea player now? Reece James, a leader, knows what it's about. How do they approach that game? They'll need to win themselves probably to get top 5 Champions League,
exactly.
and they know they can probably send Spurs down.
Oh, you can never write it back, can you? I mean, for us to send Spurs down, can you? For Chelsea to send Spurs down and for Arsenal to win the title as well. So.
John, let me ask you, it's a serious one, this. Do you think these Tottenham Hotspur players are aligned to Igor Tudor?
I don't think so, what I see. I don't think so. I think they haven't bought to what the manager wants them to do. I believe that the manager is coming and he wants to make a stand. He wants to be tough. He's a tough manager. But I just think this Spurs team, there's so many young mentality there. I think the mentality there is the question. The mentality there is not big team mentality. When I look at the players, there's no desire to run. There's no desire to do the basic. You're looking at the captain of the team, Romeo. He's getting sent off every week. You need your leader to be on the pitch, especially in a difficult time. He's never on the pitch. He's never there for the manager to select him. And even when he plays, you never know what you get from him. So it's so much chaotic happening in Spurs. And I just think if they're not careful, we will be watching championship football.
And if he hadn't lost the dressing room already, with what he did with the young goalkeeper last night, if you were a teammate of Kinski's, you're not going to buy into this manager, are you?
No, definitely not. I wouldn't, because you needed at that point in time, you need the manager to come, put his arm around the goalkeeper and say, you know what, it's a mistake, it happens.
morning, everybody. Jim White and Simon Jordan. This Thursday morning, we are live on talkSPORT, back from Cheltenham, or at least I am. And it was quite an experience. It was quite a day, I have to tell you.
Lovely town, Cheltenham, isn't it?
More than that very shortly. Actually, driving to the racecourse, yes, Simon.
Beautiful architecture in there.
Beautiful.
Is it Regency, Georgian? What is it? Beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's not go there, but yeah, absolutely.
Lovely. You mean you don't know?
I don't know. I'll pass on that one. I think there's a touch of Georgian architecture about the place, Simon. That's
what I just said.
Yes, undoubtedly. We're talking about Chelsea. Chelsea fans this morning, did you expect a scoreline like that at half-time in your Champions League tie against Paris Saint-Germain? 5-2. 5-2. Going to talk about Pedro Neto in a moment. But one wonders, are Chelsea still in this tie? And if so, how do you expect them to perform in the second leg? What gives you confidence that Chelsea can still turn this around? Much like Spurs and Kinski this week, Liam Senior dropped Rob Sanchez, for this time for Philip Jorgensen. But that move seemed to backfire after a costly error led to PSG going ahead 3-2, finishing the game 5-2. This was Liam.
Players make mistakes. Philippe's not the first one to make a mistake, and that's part of football. I am trying to win in the short term and win in the long term as well. Philippe has different qualities, and one of his qualities, which he showed against Aston Villa, one of the reasons we won 4-1 at Aston Villa, we were so calm in our possession moments, which we weren't before, not just on Rob, but on the whole team. The last 15, 20 minutes are crazy. In many aspects, and that's on me. We need to be better in moments. Setbacks, mistakes happen, but you have to stay calm in a moment, me included, and we didn't, and we were punished by a very good team, which makes the scoreline, it's a painful one because we were for 75 minutes way in the tie and in the game itself.
Should have done.
Simon, one thing comes out of that to me, if you're going to get your hands on this Champions League trophy, you need to have yourselves an elite goalkeeper, do you not?
Yeah, you also need to be brave as a coach. You know, taking off João Pedro and Cole Palmer because you think you can see the game out, to me, was a bad decision, because the moment PSG got themselves in front again, the momentum went with them. The crowd got behind them again, and Chelsea had nothing to really challenge them with, give them anything to think about, because they took off two of their most effective players because he was trying to see the game out in a structured way. And I get that, but there's some criticism coming Liam's way about the way he manages games through and the way he thinks he's intellectualising the game by thinking this is a strategy I can deploy. You've got to be a bit bolder than that. You've got to be a bit bolder than that if you want to win big competitions and be a big football club. I accept the fact that some people would say sensible decision to try and see a game out, which you've got yourself back into. A game you could have also potentially gone and won, given the setting at 2-2, when they had PSG in their sightlines and PSG were much debilitated in that game. Goalkeepers, these are the guys that are coaching them. These are the guys that are introducing ideologies into them. It's all well and good that we blame these goalkeepers for the ridiculous decision-making process, but how about we coach them to use their brains and be individuals and go long when they need to? This religion of being able to pass the ball into a midfield player, to square it across the goal, whatever. There are times to do it, and surely these players have got to think like individuals and go, I know I'm supposed to play out from the back. I know this is the orthodoxy. I know this is the ideology and the religion that I've been introduced to, because if we don't do that, then all of a sudden we're going to exhume the ghost of Sam Allardyce and be a long ball team. But the fact of the matter is, launch the thing. What is this?
I know you and I are not football people. That has been demonstrated to us by people like Souness. But if you go long ball, Liam Senior himself says, Simon, a team like PSG will come herring back at you with
repeatedly, not endlessly, not as your only setting, not as your go-to, but there is a time and a place for a goalkeeper to use his common sense. No, I mean, Joe Cole was talking about it last night. Why do midfield players want that ball pinged into him? Who said it? I think it was either Cole or McManaman. Someone said, no, Glenn Hoddle said, often I want to put a goalkeeper in a training session into midfield, put someone else in goal and ping the ball into them and say, this is what it feels like when you do it to us. When you play the ball into a stationary central midfield player that's got to turn out, this is what it feels like. You're putting the team under pressure by doing that. Yeah. So this is a coaching sentiment. So it's all well and good saying that goalkeepers have a mistake in them, but if you put them, the amount of goals that are being conceded by goalkeepers or playing out from the back, I wonder if you did a statistic and built out the empirical data of going long, losing the second ball and getting a goal conceded against you, as opposed to playing out in circumstances like this. There is a time and a place. And what's happening now, like everything in football, it goes to the extremes.
Well, they do it high risk, high reward. That's why they do it.
What, when the game's 2-2 and you're playing in the Champions League, and ultimately, there is more likely to
press, we're told.
Well, yeah, we know what the purpose of it is.
All right.
But there are times when to do it and times not when to do it. Surely, as Graham Souness would probably tell you if he was here, a good ball is the right ball. And if you're playing out to the opposition and giving them a chance, Burnley did it last year in the Premier League, got them relegated. The wonderful ideology. Southampton did the same thing. Yeah. We're going to play a certain way until someone says to you, well, you pack it in and use your common sense. Now, goalkeepers should play out as much as they possibly can to beat the so-called press. But when it's on top, surely the easiest thing to do every now and again is go, get it out of my feet. Get rid of it. It's not my problem. It's someone else's.
Did you swallow a coaching manual last night?
No, I just think it's ridiculous.
Right.
I think that we get into this discussion about what people should and shouldn't do. Goalkeepers get attributed all the blame. But what I want players to do, they're not Intel robots. They can think for themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get your point. What's the probability of Chelsea going through?
Look, as I said to you a moment ago, if they score, what is the probability of PSG not scoring?
Oh, right, exactly.
Right? So if the probability of PSG not scoring
if they score
is very high, then that's the challenge.
Right. But in the Bole Egbali era, Simon, and this
depends what Rafinha does. Rafinha might do what he did against Arsenal, which is basically sit in and try and hold the game for 25, 30, 40 minutes, possibly impression in the second half.
I mean, how long will Chelsea remain the bridesmaid? Chelsea co-owner Jose Feliciano, I spoke to John Obi Mikel about this yesterday at Cheltenham. He claimed, and Feliciano, incidentally, is co-founder and managing partner of Clear Lake Capital alongside Bedar Egbali.
Yeah.
Feliciano this week claimed Chelsea are running a more sustainable system that is yielding results at the club. He says Arsenal hasn't won in 20 years and we just won 2 trophies. He says we intend to win the Premier League soon. I think we've put in place a much more sustainable system in terms of players and development that I think is yielding results right now. Well, not on last night's showing, Jose. And certainly when it came to Arsenal, ex-Chelsea, John Obi Mikel was opening up on Arsenal yesterday, but he also spoke about Chelsea and on how far Chelsea are from winning major titles. Here's John Obi.
What we don't have right now is the consistency. We don't have the consistency of winning games, winning 5-6 games in a row. We don't have that. And that comes with inexperience. For us to be able to go on a run, for us to be able to compete to win the Premier League, we need a bit of experience, and we don't have that. You can't come in as an owner and say, you know what, I'm going to throw away all the history of the football club, which is what brought us to where we are today.
It's over. This is Bole and Egbali's time. Are you not buying into what they're trying to do?
I'm not buying into it because it's not helping the football club. I don't see us right now win the Premier League in the next 2, 3, 4 years. I don't see it.
He doesn't see it, and he said it in no uncertain terms. Do you?
Yeah.
I mean, are they contenders right now?
No, not right now, no. But they're...
So how many years away are they?
You asked me, do I see them winning it in the next... I thought they might win it in the next 2 or 3 seasons. That was 2 seasons ago. So I'm either out of time this season or out of time next season. I can't remember exactly what year I said it in. But they are getting better. His arguments that the co-owner's arguments are wrong because he's only comparing it to Arsenal winning the Premier League and their Premier League achievements. And they've won 2 competitions. Arsenal won the FA Cup in the last 5 years.
But 2 years ago you said they would be contenders.
Yeah,
2 years on, they're not.
Well, they are contending in the top 4 of the league. They're in and around that space.
How much further forward are they? In all honesty, Simon, and I'm not getting at Chelsea. I'm not trying to get you to say something you don't want to say.
For the first 2 seasons, they're miles away from that.
2 years ago,
they're miles better than that. Look at the chaos they ensued with Graham Potter. Look at the car crash of the Tuchel relationship, and whatever you think of that, or whatever people think they think of it, most people, if they'd have experienced Tuchel's behaviour, would have done the same thing. You bring in Potter, car crash. You bring in Frank Lampard, car crash. You bring in Pochettino, the season stinks for the first half of the season, and he managed to get himself together to recover some ground. So it's undoubtable that the last 2 seasons, 18 months, have been better, because Chelsea have been better, and they've achieved more. They've won things. So the fact of the matter is, it can't be argued that it's better.
2 years ago, they finished 6th. They're currently 5th.
Right, so it's better then, isn't it?
But they're not contenders. They're not contenders.
But that's 20% better then, isn't it, by that logic? So it depends what metric you want to say better by. Are they better? Are they better in terms of winning the league? No. Are they nearer towards winning it than they were 2 years ago? Yeah, they are. Are they going to win it next year? Well, again, John Mikel was talking about experience. Everyone knows that that's right. And experience can be acquired by the players going through the learning curves, or you buy the experience. You do what Roman Abramovich did in that wonderful period of buying everything and buying the best players and, financially doping the league and creating outcomes for themselves and being a difficult team to play at. And all the things that he accused Arsenal of is precisely what Chelsea were.
Let's put it out there then. Chelsea co-owner Jose Feliciano has said, and I quote, "We intend to win the Premier League soon." Really, how far away, Chelsea fans, are Chelsea from doing that? And what hope do you give them, if any, of turning it around against PSG at Stamford Bridge? Give us a call. Why don't you? 03717 223344 81089.
Wear the right footwear. They're all slipping about.
What was that about? Have you ever had that?
Yes, and you have to say to the players, because what they do, players, right? Say I used to wear studs that all the time, and I very rarely would I wear, like rubbers. They call them. They used to call them moulded.
Molten.
Well, if you get a bit of grease on top of the pitch at 7:30, a bit of dew comes on the pitch. It becomes like an ice rink if you've got rubbers on, and some of them would wear them because they're comfy. So if you want to be comfy, wear slippers. But you can't play football. So get the right footwear on. You're not allowed to slip. If you slip, if a striker slips, he'll get another chance. But as a defender, I used to say to my players, you're not allowed to slip, by the way, if you're a defender. Don't come in and say, sorry, gaffer, I slipped. What if you slip every week? Are you going to slip next week? Wear the right footwear. Van der Ven was sliding all over the place, and the goalkeeper slipped 2 or 3 times, but you've got to feel sorry for him, but he's just got, we'll find out. It's a bit like Karius, wasn't it? That situation where where you think, well, I hope he comes back from it. Because he's only a young lad, and I hope he learns from it. But I'm sure all his teammates would have got round him afterwards. But they are in a right mess.
Absolutely. Listen, the sports bar was the place to be last night after it went viral from the defeat the week before.
Jamie.
Oh, my God. Did you watch all that?
He falls for it every time. I was his manager, Shaban. He used to fall for anything.
You've seen it all.
I told him he was slim. And he believed me.
We're not fat shaming at 6:10.
Redknapp's told talkSPORT he hasn't had a call from Spurs about saving them from relegation, but he has spoken to former chairman Daniel Levy.
He did say to me, he said, look, if I was there now, he said, I would definitely, and I'm not just saying it, so I would bring you back into to the end of the season, Harry.
Wow.
So it would have been interesting.
Harry also joked he'd take O'Hara in as his assistant. Now, after a bad night for English teams in the Champions League, even Pep Guardiola admits Man City looked dead and buried. Meanwhile, have we seen this year's Puskas winner?
It was like, if you remember that great Matt Letizia goal that he scored for Southampton against Newcastle. He flicked the ball up past Kevin Scott and stroked it into the bottom corner. It was like that, but possibly even better.
talkSPORT's Jim Proudfoot there. Federico Valverde sealed a first-half hat-trick to give Real Madrid a 3-0 win. Chelsea's Pedro Neto says he's really sorry for pushing a PSG ball boy. He's apologised and given the lad his shirt after their 5-2 defeat in Paris. In the Championship, Frank Lampard's refusing to accept Coventry are as good as promoted. They beat Preston 3-0 to go 8 points clear at the top. And Jack Draper's beaten Novak Djokovic for the first time to keep his Indian Wells title defence on track. There's more at talksport.com.
Good morning, everybody. Thursday morning. Jim White and Simon Jordan. On Thursday, the 12th of March, we're live in talkSPORT, live on your TV as well. Even Prime Video. You can watch the show wherever you want, it would seem these days. On Chelsea, what went on last night over in Paris? Well, a whole bunch of things went on, didn't they? Pedro Neto has had to apologise after pushing a PSG ball boy to the ground in stoppage time at 4-2 down. I'll get to that in a second. But on Chelsea, are they contenders? How much further on are they from, say, 2 years ago when Simon said they will be contenders for the top prize? Well, are they contenders to win the Premier League at this time or the Champions League? How much further have they developed? Dave is a big Chelsea fan. Dave, good morning. Tell me, are you contenders, Dave?
Not at the moment, Jim.
No?
Not at the moment.
How many years away are you, Dave?
I'd say we're 5-6 years away if recruitment's good.
5 or 6 years away.
I just don't think we can compete over the long haul.
Yeah, do you think you can turn it around against PSG?
Probably not. Probably not, with the pace they play at. And I just think that not every team can play the Pep way that's been bred into the English game over the last 8 years or 10 years or so.
Oh, David's just dropped off. So Dave Simon saying 5 or 6 years away. I wonder what Aki, another big Chelsea fan, thinks. Aki, good morning. Dave says you're 5 or 6 years away from being true contenders for the Premier League, for the Champions League. Is he right?
Morning, lads. Yeah, definitely spot on. I mean, what we've seen last night is epitomised how bad the recruitment has been all through the summer. Goalkeeper is an issue. To build a great team, to win the Champions League, to win the Premier League, you need to have a world-class goalkeeper. We haven't got that for the last 4 years. I'm sorry, they had a chance to sign Magna from AC Milan. They said no for 12.5 million. But they're going to spending 40 million on 15, 16-year-olds prospect. They had a chance to sign Donnarumma, but they won't pay their wages. Carry on doing like that. How you could predict we're going to win the Premier League or the Champions League with this current squad?
So you go with Dave, Aki. You're 5 or 6 years away from it.
We are, Jim, because the squad is not good enough. We got 10, 11 good players there, but this is it. You can't compete against these big clubs with the current squad. The recruitment has been shambolic. Without signing experience, the team last night, 2-2, you have to manage the game, and it just shows how inexperienced the manager is and how inexperienced some of the players are. They gave the third goal away, and then the floodgates open because there's no experienced leaders on that pitch to handle the game and manage the game.
But Aki, your Chelsea co-owner Jose Feliciano says that they've put in place a very sustainable system in terms of players and development. You disagree?
Well, I disagree because in their world, in their mind, they think we're doing things right. We're doing the progression thing. But without signing a world-class players, you know, we're not going to win anything.
Okay, Aki, listen, thanks for the call and thanks for the points. 5 or 6 years away. So that on top of your 8,
well, none of us can.
That on top of your 2 years
none
makes
of us,
it about 8 years away.
None of us can forecast it. You know, it's a fool's errand, and we're doing it for the purpose of a media show and conversation. But the reality of it is that they've got some very good players on that side. I mean, João Pedro is as good a centre forward right now as there is in the world. So, you know, Reece James is an experienced leader. Yeah, ironically, the third goal was in part given away by Reece James turning possession over and giving it to them. So there's there's plenty of talent in that side to be really occupying very high spots. There are teams that are more established, that have slightly better players, more experience, and more experienced managers. And there's no doubt that the coach is learning on the job. There's no doubt. It can't not be, because he's never managed a club of this stature. So there's always going to be an element, and people have got to perhaps stop dealing in the here and now and start being prepared to invest in the build out, because I realise that we all live in micromanaged moments, and once it's gone, it's gone. It's ironic, isn't it? Football lives on the balance of, well, there's always another game, but except when we're talking about it in the media, because it has to be managed now. It has to be instantaneous gratification. Chelsea are getting better season on season, But so are the opposition at times. And the opposition, Chelsea, like any other football club, whether it be Man City, Liverpool or Arsenal, don't operate in a vacuum. They aren't controlling their own destiny definitively, because there are plenty of other sides that can do to Chelsea financially what Chelsea did to everybody in football 22, 23 years ago when Abramovich came in.
Is ill discipline still alive and well within Chelsea? Pedro Neto apologised after pushing the ball boy over.
I wouldn't apologise.
In stoppage time at 4-2 down. You wouldn't apologise?
No, I wouldn't
He went to retrieve the ball, for those who haven't seen it. He pushed the ball boy over near the advertising hoardings,
a little shove,
leading to an angry exchange from the PSG players, who, of course, rallied round their own ball boy. Yeah. Neto received no punishment from the referee. Well, if he didn't do anything wrong, why is he apologising?
Because
I want to apologise to the ball boy. I've already spoken with him. With the emotions of the game, we were losing. I wanted to pick up the ball. He was getting the ball. I gave him a little push. I'm not like that. In the heat of the moment, I wanted to apologise. I gave him my shirt. That cannot happen.
I'd have given him a kick up the checks, is what I'd have given him.
I'm really sorry about what happened.
Well, listen, this is what people do in society. They apologise for things. The kid was holding the ball back. These ball boys are there to serve the ball in. I don't think it's funny that professional footballers are having to ask a ball boy to give them the ball back, and he wants to be clever. Should he give him a little shove? Probably not. Was it a cardinal sin? I mean, the kid went over like he'd been shot. You know, I just imagine he'd be taking diving lessons from the players. I thought it was a silly circumstance. I thought the ball boy shouldn't have been taking the ball away from him. Yes, perhaps the player shouldn't have pushed him to get the ball back, but it wasn't like a full-on running up, push him out of the way. He was trying to get the ball off the kid. So now we're into territory of saying, should he be consequenced for it? Should there be
saying that?
Well, the apologies. All this. Nobody wants an apology. Now, what they want is people to be cancelled or to people to be ruined. When you apologise, it's the worst thing you can do.
That.
That's what happens. The moment someone apologises.
Was the kid due an apology?
No. He should have been apologising to the player. My job as a ball boy is not to be facetious and arsehole clever with you as a player.
Apologising to Neto.
The ball boy should have been handing the ball to the footballer that's trying to win a football match. These are professional sportsmen. They shouldn't be hampered by some cocky little kid on the sidelines. Sorry. I'm all for. I've got kids of my own. I'm all for that, but I'm not for a young kid antagonising a professional footballer in the middle of a very competitive football match where emotions are running high.
Antagonising a professional footballer.
What was he doing then?
That's right.
I mean, short of pulling.
You're not one for hyperbole. I mean, that was a great demonstration.
I mean, ultimately, if we went to we could have gone to your side of things where we pulled him a Mooney and blew a raspberry at him, and then we would have been really antagonising him. But he took the ball away from him. He was being clever. Now, in that emotional moment where the player's trying to get a ball back, the game's getting away from them. It's all on top.
Yeah.
You know, I think what he should have been saying is, look, I didn't mean to push the kid, and I'm sorry for that. But, by the way, the kid shouldn't have been playing silly buggers with me.
Oh, right. All right, I see.
Well, that's what I think.
Okay, while I don't really want to interrupt you, I'm going to interrupt you.
Outrage
we
now
haven't
from all
spoken
those.
about Arsenal, really. Was it a penalty last night for Arsenal?
No.
No.
Did you think it was a penalty?
No, I didn't.
I know one person who did.
Martin Keown felt it was a definite penalty after Madueke went down under a challenge in the game against Leverkusen. It resulted in a penalty, and that was put into the back of the net by Havertz, who didn't celebrate because it would be wrong to do so. But again, is this not back to objectivity? Or does Martin have every right to say, it was a penalty? Of course it was a penalty. But he played the game, you didn't, nor did I.
Of course. But I've also got a set of eyes. And I wear glasses, and so does he. The question that was asked of him by the presenter, I think it was Lindsay, wasn't it? Said to him, if you was an Arsenal player and that was given against you, and he said, well, you're switching the question, because he knows the answer. If he was an Arsenal player and that was given against him, he'd be outraged. It was a penalty because the referee said it was.
All right.
And that's the end of the discussion, isn't it? But was it a penalty in terms of a real foul in the penalty box where a player was really taken out of his stride and fell over? No, it was a dive.
580,000 people have read your tweet directed at a certain Martin Keown about what you thought of Martin saying, for me, it was a penalty. You've jumped in, oh dear Martin, and then a little expletive. Did I say that old Keown lacks objectivity? Yes, he is the grand fromage of bias. Where did you pluck that one from?
I don't know, maybe I was eating some camembert at the time.
An evening at home with Simon Jordan with some camembert. We're alive and well in talkSPORT with Selco, where the trade goes.
So,
Agreed.
so
And
so
that's
to
why
me,
tonight,
the manager, when you look at him and the way that they're reacting to him as a manager, is everything that I need to know that this guy is absolutely out of his depth and he's got to get out of that football club.
Yeah.
Because if they stick with this guy, we are gone. This club is gone.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the season,
Who knows? But hold on a second.
at the end of the season,
so you change your manager and your fortune's going to change.
No, I'm not saying they're going to change, but it can't get any worse.
No,
It can't get any worse than this
We
manager.
drew the second half today.
Jay, shut up!
Honestly, you
Don't
lot,
on
you don't know what you want. You
Stop
lot.
going on about the second half. You can't keep going on about it. Like, seriously, mate. Seriously, shut up. You can't keep talking about the second half. Oh, we drew the second half, mate. Honestly, I'm trying not to swear. Like, you can't keep saying that, mate. You can't keep saying that. You're a professional pundit. You can't keep saying that.
You did draw the second half.
Oh, mate, I'm trying to be professional here. I'm not going to. I'm going to swear. I'm going to swear. Go to a break.
You've done it again, haven't you? You've done it again. You've walked. Jay? He's walked out again. I mean, factually, they drew the second half.
Simon and myself enjoy talking boxing, and we'll do just that from 12 noon onwards. Nick, I met you in the street the other day. Huge boxing fan, one of many who regularly come up to me and say how much they enjoy the boxing chat on this show. Today will be no exception. We're going to go over to Dublin and speak to Anthony Kakache later on this morning. That is where we will
enjoy
also
talk boxing, is what you mean.
Spencer Oliver and Adam Cattrall. Talk boxing, what is that?
You know what it is. You used to describe it as a show that Spencer did for an old lady in Skegness.
Rochdale. But yes, Top Boxing, very popular with yourself and Paul Smith. Yeah, we'll talk boxing later on this morning. A bit of a gear change here, Simon. What makes one offensive chant worse than the other? On a serious note here, Leeds United are calling on the UK Crown Prosecution Service and the football authorities to categorise songs relating to the paedophile Jimmy Savile as tragedy chanting, making it now a public order offence. Songs referencing Savile have regularly been sung at matches involving Leeds since Savile's death in 2011. Chants about Savile have become a regular feature at Leeds games this season. Opposition fans singing songs about Savile to goad Leeds fans. Now, of course, when it comes to tragedy chanting, it's a very serious matter. It's defined by the CPS as tragedy-related abuse, referencing fatal accidents or stadium disasters involving players, fans or officials of rival clubs such as Hillsborough, Heysel, Bradford, the Bradford fire, the Munich air disaster. But now we've got this with the authorities, a process whereby songs relating to the paedophile Savile would be categorised as tragedy chanting. What makes one offensive chant worse than the other? Because this is what Leeds want recognised as a football club.
Well, some could say that the foul deeds of Jimmy Savile ruined so many lives, and potentially people took their own lives as a result of their experiences with Savile, that it was such a British scandal of such proportions it brought the whole of the BBC into disrepute, given the fact that they didn't attend to this individual, and it brought society into disrepute because he was embraced in the highest echelons of society, albeit without necessarily the knowledge of his actions, although common sense and conventional wisdom tells you that people must have been privy to something, because they're now beginning to speak very openly about what they were and weren't privy to. There's a balancing act between being offended by something and something having the connotation of a tragedy.
Yeah.
And there's an argument to suggest that what happened with Jimmy Savile has elements of tragedy attached to it for those that were victims of it.
Sure.
And it ruined lives. So there was a case to be argued to suggest, but you're blowing into the wind of what football fans will and won't do and what they will next say, which is offensive. No one has the right not to be offended. There's a balancing act between lionising terrible tragic events like Hillsborough and other events that we've seen tragedy chanting for years and years. I mean, imagine Leeds fans were participating in it. They sang about the 1958 Munich crash and turned it into a parody song. I can remember hearing it on football stadiums as a kid growing up, wondering what that was all about who's that lying on the runway and all that sort of stuff that was sung, that was said to be funny and was used to bait the audience. We have a society, and especially a football society, that prides itself in confrontation and saying awful things about people.
Yeah, but we want to stand all over that.
And we want to stand all over it to some extent.
We want to outlaw these chants.
But again, it becomes
referred to the paedophile Jimmy Savile.
It's interesting.
And one way of doing it is to categorise it as a tragedy chant and now make it a public order offence. In other words, you sing about Savile, then you're gonna know all about it.
It's interesting to suggest who would be the arbiter of what determines tragedy chanting and how much of a tragedy, preventable tragedy, that could have been in terms of Jimmy Savile's behaviour and how many people were culpable in it and so on and so forth. I suppose you could make the same argument for Hillsborough in terms of the people that were culpable for that, which ultimately became the police and the football authorities for not policing that game, and obviously the reporting post-event and all the stuff that's gone, the circumstances with the 97.
Yeah, but Simon, Leeds are right to call upon the UK Crown Prosecution Service and say, right, how about doing this? In an effort to stamp it out,
they can
categorise it.
They can call
as a tragedy chant.
They can call upon it, and it's the thing that we can't relate to is what is the arbitration around what defines tragedy in the minds of the CPS. What defines unpalatable, offensive commentary that people don't like against what defines a tragedy? The fans, the football fans that died inside football stadiums, and the families that are directly affected, and all the circumstances that go with that, are clearly, in my mind, much more definable as a tragedy rather than football fans singing at one another that may not be in any shape or form victims of the circumstances in which Jimmy Savile perpetrated his crimes.
You could say that, and I think
you could argue that, but I'm not offended by them making this application to the CPS. I do think it will lead to other people suggesting that every form of and some people in society would say, well, good job too. Maybe then we can clean up football. We can have football like rugby, where people can sit amongst one another and not have to worry about circumstances that find themselves into football stadiums like Rangers and Celtic.
But specifically on this, you may have an individual, say at a game, at a Leeds game, who was the subject of the victim of a sexual assault, and is hearing a group of opposing fans chanting about Savile, and nothing's been done about it. And that could be quite triggering.
Yes, of course it could be. I hate that expression triggering, but I understand what it means. Right? But I, from the point of view of arguing against it or for it, I'm not arguing for neither. I'm not offended by Leeds making an application to the CPS. I'm interested to understand what the measurements would be to define what is a tragedy song. Does it have to be legacy football clubs that have had these tragic events that can make these cases? Does it have to be Manchester United because of Munich? Does it have to be Liverpool because of Hillsborough that only get this particular dispensation? And rightfully so that they do, is my point.
Credit to Leeds for taking a stand on this.
I don't have an issue with it.
Leeds United has said, we are lobbying, we'd be fully supportive of Jimmy Savile chants being classed as tragedy chanting and a hate crime.
See, I don't know how prevalent it is, how many fan groups are doing it. I mean, obviously Chelsea could turn around and say next that they want to make it a hate and making homophobic observations.
Yeah.
So I think there's a case to answer. Wait, now, will it achieve things? Will it stop the culture of football? Because
It'll
really
make them think twice a bit.
Will it?
Yeah,
maybe. If
they could get hit by banner, you could be pulled out of the crowd and be told you've got a banning
could all
order.
those Rangers and Celtic fans that behave poorly on the weekend, and so could football fans. Full stop. So could people that shout racist abuse and don't do it anonymously. That think they can get away with it just because they can get away with it. I'm all for consequences. I'm not for people shouting hideous things at one another at football matches.
No,
I do like the wit of football fans. I do like the parody. But I do think there's a balance between the two.
Absolutely. I mean, we have examples to cite here, Simon, and I'll mention two of them going into the break. April 2024, a Manchester United fan was given a football banning order and a £1,200 fine for chanting aimed at Liverpool during the FA Cup quarter-final that related to the Hillsborough disaster.
Yep.
So that person got hit and hit hard.
Yep.
In 2023, a Spurs fan was given a 3-year football banning order and fined for making gestures mocking the Hillsborough disaster during the 4-3 defeat at Anfield.
These have been prescribed, haven't they?
So Leeds want similar punishments handed out here.
They want it prescribed, first and foremost, as a tragedy chant.
Yeah.
And in the event they get it prescribed as a tragedy chant, then they want it enforced. Now, there's the evidence of a tragedy chant and the prescription in terms of these were prescribed as tragedy chants, and the consequence for that is a hate crime. So insofar as this chant is concerned, it'll be interesting to see what the reaction is from those that make the decisions, that are the arbiters of how an offensive comment is taken and what becomes a tragedy chant or what becomes abuse in a free-speaking society.
I'm going to put it out there as we go into the break. Where are we now? 11 o'clock. The other side of 11 o'clock. If you want to give us a call on this, give us a call. Leeds fans, I'll put it out specifically to you. How often do you hear these chants from opposition fans about Jimmy Savile? And how offended are you by them? You might want to give me a call on that. 03717 22 33 44. Do you take them seriously? Are you offended by them? Do you laugh them off? But how do you stop it? There's a key question. And are you proud of your club? Because Leeds United are saying they're lobbying and would be fully supportive of Savile chants being classed as tragedy chanting and a hate crime. Are they right to go in that direction? Give us a call. 03717 22 33 44.
Well, we're not going to ridicule and we're not going to persecute, so hopefully it won't be disgusting, Mr. Andrews. But what we will do is talk about the point of a Panenka. I do think it's very self-indulgent. The ultimately, right, the point of a penalty, the goal of a penalty, excuse the pun, is to put it into the back of the net, right? If you choose to do it in a flashy way, I do think that's a little bit self-indulgent, right? All the other penalties were fantastic. They're all out of reach from the keeper.
Yep.
They dived the right way. They're still not getting there. They were just brilliant. Do it that way. Like, what's the reason you're doing a Panenka? Like, ultimately, what's the reason you're doing it? And it is A, to mug the goalkeeper off, and B, to look a little bit flash.
Yeah, listen, I was one. Look, I took many penalties in my career. I never did that because I just the risk doesn't outweigh the reward.
No,
because if I take a proper penalty and he saves it, okay, fair. I can listen and go, listen, I've tried to score it.
Yeah.
But when you Panenka it and you do that, I just don't think it's worth doing because ultimately the result is still the same. You score a goal. So,
That's right.
So why would you want to make a penalty more difficult for yourself? Like penalties are not easy as they are, but it's an opportunity. I know it was in a penalty shootout, but we've seen players do it in games. We've seen players do it in World Cup finals, man. Zidane.
Off the bar.
Off the bar, right? I just don't think it's worth the risk because I think you score a penalty, good, professional. But when you start doing Panenkas, you're making a situation. You've already got a goalkeeper there, right? It's already a penalty shootout, so there's already pressure. You're putting more pressure on yourself by doing that.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan van range. Scoring a winning hat-trick of performance, payload and price. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
With your headlines, it's just coming up to 4 minutes past 11. I'm Nick Ellaby. Good morning. Some breaking news. Aberdeen have confirmed the appointment of Stephen Robinson as their new head coach. Robinson arrived from St Mirren alongside his assistant Brian Kerr. They've got contracts till summer 2029. Now, Harry Redknapp's told talkSPORT he hasn't had a call from Spurs about saving them from relegation, but he has spoken to former chairman Daniel Levy.
He did say to me, if I was there now, he said, I would definitely, and I'm not just saying it, so I would bring you back into to the end of the season, Harry. You know, so it would have been interesting.
Harry also joked he'd take O'Hara in as his assistant if the call comes. Now, Pep Guardiola and Liam Rossini admit City and Chelsea may be out of the Champions League ties already. Meanwhile, Simon Jordan says it's time to clamp down on these ball boys.
The ball boy should have been handing the ball to the footballer that's trying to win a football match. These are professional sportsmen. They shouldn't be hampered by some cocky little kid on the sideline.
Pedro Neto did say sorry to the lad he pushed over and gave him his shirt after the match as well. Meanwhile, we're told Kjetil Knutsen has pulled off one of coaching's great achievements this century with Bodo Glimt.
Win the league title 4 times and then go up through the European tournaments to this level where you're on the cusp of reaching the quarterfinals. I mean, it's just jaw-dropping. It makes no sense whatsoever. It's great.
Our European football expert Kev Hatchard describes the technical and well-connected Bodo Glimt as like the best five-a-side team you've ever seen. Now, 20-time champion jockey Sir AP McCoy says that Cheltenham racism story is a bit of a storm in a teacup. Irish jockey Declan Queally accused Englishman Nico de Boinville of abuse before the novices hurdle yesterday. McCoy says de Boinville was trying to help the starters.
But the only thing I would say about it all is that Declan Queally did get suspended by the steward for not listening to the starters.
talkSPORT News.
Tory leader Kemi Badenoch claims the Prime Minister lied to the Commons about Peter Mandelson, and after more Iranian attacks on cargo ships, oil prices go up again. More from the news team in half an hour.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Get a free vehicle safety check at all of our 600 centres nationwide to keep you safe on the road. QuickFit. Drive away happy every time.
Heavy rain across Scotland and Northern Ireland. That rain is moving into England and Wales this afternoon. Patchy rain in the southeast, showery and colder further north.
Good morning, everybody. 7 minutes past 11 o'clock. It's Jim White and Simon Jordan. We are live on talkSPORT. We're also live on Fire TV, Apple TV, Android, Google TV, even Prime Video. You can watch the show as well as listen to it. And many of you are doing just that. And we're thrilled about that. Here's a question for you. To Tudor or not to Tudor? What are Tottenham going to do going into this weekend off the back of a quite disastrous interim management spell with Igor Tudor, not least the other night over in the Metropolitano Stadium in Madrid, Atletico Madrid roundly thumping Tottenham Hotspur in the Champions League. Next up for Igor and Tottenham, a trip to Liverpool on Sunday. Bet you he's looking forward to that. Maybe he is. But to Tudor or not to Tudor, we're going to get into that very shortly. We'll talk boxing at 12 o'clock. But before that, we are dwelling on this topic, and it's one which has got many of you calling in. And I'm pleased about that because we want to hear from you this morning. That's why I invited calls on it. Leeds United are calling on the UK Crown Prosecution Service and the football authorities to categorise songs relating to the paedophile Jimmy Savile as tragedy chanting, and in the process would make it a public order offence. Songs referencing Savile have regularly been sung at matches involving Leeds since his death in 2011. So this hasn't been going on for just a recent amount of time. It's been going on for a long time, since 2011. Chants about Savile have become a regular feature at Leeds games this season, opposing fans singing to goad Leeds United fans in their own stadium. But of course, tragedy chanting is defined by the CPS as a tragedy-related abuse process referencing fatal accidents, stadium disasters, Hillsborough, Heysel, Bradford fire, Munich air crash. Now Leeds are saying we would be fully supportive of Jimmy Savile chants being classed as tragedy chanting and a hate crime. Would that go towards stamping it out in your view? 03717 223344. Scott's a Leeds United fan. Scott, good morning to you. Can I ask you first off, how often do you hear these chants, Scott?
Every game, the away fans will always start a Jimmy Savile chant. But the thing is, I've never met, and you used the word earlier, triggering, which I agree with Simon. I don't agree with the word triggering, because where do you draw the line at triggering? But the Leeds fans just respond with Jimmy Savile chants back towards the away fans. It's banter. It's football banter. Where do you draw the line at chanting?
Yeah, you go on the side. You go in the direction that it's banter. You don't think it's wholly offensive, because that's what your club is saying, Scott.
I can't understand the club saying that, because both sets of fans, home and away, get involved with this. And again, I'll say it again. Where do you draw the line? There's a chant at Ellen Road about one of our players, Willie Nonto, that mentioned, you all know the chant about his famous manhood. That could be triggering to somebody. So where do you draw the line? Do you not allow singing at all?
Can I not suggest to you, Scott, you draw the line at a Savile chant?
But then again, somebody else could be triggered by the Willie Nonto chant. So
no, but let's talk about the Savile thing specifically. Specifically on Savile, there ain't nothing funny about it, is there?
There isn't, and nobody's suggesting that the chant's funny in any way, shape or form. It's just banter between opposing fans, in my opinion.
So you don't go with your club on this then? You don't want it categorised as tragedy chanting, making it a public order offence? You say that Leeds are wrong to do that?
I do think they're wrong to do that, because, again, the Leeds fans get involved and chant Jimmy Savile's chants back to the away fans.
I'm amazed at that. Thanks anyway. Tim, you're a Watford fan. Where do you stand in this?
I've got to agree with that last caller, to be honest. I've been there many times up at Leeds, and I'm not condoning it. I don't think it's sort of clever to be singing it, but when you've got Leeds fans singing it, I've seen Leeds fans in fancy dress at away games, and their supporters dress up as Jimmy Savile, thinking it's funny. So if Leeds are gonna sort of kick off and try and stamp it out, well, they need to sort of look a bit closer to home to start with and start handing out banning orders to their own fans before worrying about away fans and making it a big deal.
Has Tim got a point there, Simon?
He has a little bit, yeah. I mean, we are in a territory of. I'm not offended by the notion that Leeds don't like this chant being levied at their fans because it's insightful and it will produce a reaction in their fan base. But I've seen the text messages or the tweets coming out with the fact that Leeds themselves were not so much embracing it, but responding to it and reacting to it in their own unique football way. So I do understand the idea that it leads to a sanitisation of the game. Some of the culture of football is steeped in tribalism, and what I consider to be football banter. It's unpalatable. A lot of the things have been said that are unpalatable.
Yeah.
So, but I also think that if you're going to categorise things as tragedies, there is an argument to say, and it's not an incoherent argument, that what Savile did, and the manner of the victims that he had, which were far and wide, that there is an element of great tragedy about that too.
Yes.
So if you're going to prescribe the Hillsborough situation, which is undeniably a tragedy, and if you're going to prescribe the situations surrounding Manchester United, which are football-related matters, these are involving football teams competing in football matches or being part of this is a completely separate. This is bringing a societal issue into football, which is why it might be slightly different in the minds of those who want to prosecute against it.
Sure, understood. When you were owner of Palace, Simon, did you ever hear anything you thought, "Oh God, no, surely not"? Now that's crossing a line.
Yeah, when they started laughing at me about me being orange. But on a serious note, I often laughed at what football fans sung because I took it with a pinch of salt. I didn't take it. We can always be offended on behalf of other people. What we have here, if somebody in the football stadium is offended because it's the circumstances that happen to them, then that is entirely their prerogative and their right. When we become offended on behalf of others, that is always something that I find either a virtuous circle that I don't wish to join up, or something that I think is a little bit unnecessary over a period of time. Yeah. Maybe, if they don't get this prescribed, just think about the consequences. This is not the right answer, but it's an answer. If they don't get this prescribed as a hate crime, what do you think is going to happen now?
Oh, or some fans will have a field day.
They'll elevate now.
Yeah.
They'll
that's
escalate even greater.
That's a good point. Paul, Celtic fan, good morning, Paul. What do you want to say, mate?
Good morning, Jim. How are you doing?
Good morning. Good to have you on. How are you?
Oh, good. I'm a 59-year-old for Glasgow, growing up my whole life. I'm just now sick of this attitude and this talk about this big old firm game, as they say, the atmosphere. The atmosphere is absolute poison.
Yeah.
Absolute poison. I've been going to that game since the 70s and the 80s.
Yes.
And I never, ever enjoyed a minute of any of them. I hated going to them. Hated the situation, everything that's going on. Now, about this hate crime stuff, as I say, I've grew up with this my whole life, coming from obviously the opposite side, the Rangers side, and it's total anti-Irish, anti-Catholic, constant. Come on. Is that not a hate crime?
Yeah, it's time that is completely driven out of the game. Sectarian chanting is illegal in Scotland, Paul. It's a hate crime, but it still goes on, and you're right to point it out.
I mean, we put away constantly, Jim. As you know, this police chief has come out and said it's a societal issue, blah, blah, blah. We know all this. We absolutely know all this.
We're going to be talking about this very shortly, Paul. Paul, before you leave us, are you amazed that you haven't heard from either Rangers or Celtic in terms of some kind of holding statement after what happened on Sunday? We're now at Thursday.
Absolutely. I think Celtic are in a bit of a position. They're kind of holding back. What do they say? What do they comment on? When the major issues came, obviously, for the violence on the other side. And the only way to stop it, I mean, ban them.
Yeah.
Close the stadium.
Yeah.
It's going to be the only situation. And that'll apply to everybody, obviously.
Yes.
And it's just determining what is the hate.
Yeah. Fed up with the hatred, Paul, and you're right to emphasise that. Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks to everyone who's been calling in about the Leeds United situation, the Savile situation. I can hardly believe, Simon, that anybody would want to sing about Savile and in the process, at a football match, and at the process be quoting his name.
Yeah, but you can hardly believe that anyone would want to be singing about Hillsborough.
No.
Or wanting to sing about Munich.
No.
Or wanting to sing to the Leeds fans about the tragedy that happened to some of their fans in Turkey. But they do. That's what football fans do. They don't really understand the motivations behind it in terms of the tragedies that they're discussing. What they're trying to do is goad the opposition. And that's become a staple diet of football.
Yeah.
Everything is said primarily to get a reaction from the opposition because you're in this confrontational, gladiatorial circumstances.
Yeah.
You know, in a different space, we see it on the field of play. We see it in cricket with sledging, not to the same extent and not elevating into tragedies, but trying to get a reaction from someone else. In this instance, football fans, the whole spirit of football is combative. Now, we all agree that it goes to a point where is it really necessary? And it's interesting, we talk about the Scottish gentleman that just phoned a moment ago about the atmosphere, whereas Graham Souness was on the show on Monday saying the atmosphere was absolutely electric. And it's the greatest game in world football in terms of rivalry, and there's no better derby than this. Yet the actual people that are sitting in the stands, rather than the rarefied air that Souness is breathing, are looking at it and going, this is awful. It's just toxicity. But I do also think we do have to buckle up and breathe in and push our shoulders back and be a little bit more resilient to what people are saying that isn't actually affecting our world. We're offended by things. We're offended by something. Nobody goes through life, Jim, without a right to be offended, by the way.
I agree, Simon, but let's see if Leeds United get anywhere with this.
That'll be the interesting thing.
That'll be the interesting thing. Any chants about Savile now being classed as tragedy chanting and a hate crime. That's what Leeds United are driving at. Let's see if they get there. And if they get there, to my mind, they should be supported. It's coming up to 11:20. Well, he was Wales manager in January 2018. He led them to qualification for Euro 2020. You know, at the end of the day, he has one hell of a lot of football know-how.
Certainly as a player, and given the fact that he's done okay with Wales, you know, if we're talking about another international job, he's burnt his bridges with the Welsh FA. I suspect that's circumstance, whether right or wrong. That ship has probably sailed, and Craig Bellamy's doing a decent job, however long Craig stays there for, and maybe passes a new awaits him. I mean, I met Ryan Giggs years ago, didn't particularly warm to him, but that's not a benchmark for necessarily determining whether he should be a football manager or not. Clearly, he had a glittering career as a player. Clearly, he's put himself in the way of adverse publicity, one way or t'other. You know, and that comes at a price. And the price now of modern day football is that managing an elite football club, you have to present as being the perfect human being in all aspects. If you've got any skeletons in your cupboard, allegation or proven, there's a challenge for you, because the optics of how football clubs want to present themselves around the world will be challenged by someone that has had their reputation besmirched. Some of it legitimately, these two instances not legitimately, in terms of the fact that the cases have never proceeded and he's never been found guilty of anything.
That's right.
The question for Ryan is...
So should he be unemployable in perpetuity?
Well, I don't know. Again, I don't know how many jobs he's applied for. I don't know whether he's unemployable in perpetuity. I don't know what level he thinks he can manage at. I don't know, you know, there would be nothing stopping him from redeeming his... or finding himself. It's an interesting choice.
Big event this weekend. Live boxing returns to the talkSPORT network. Jazza Dickens and Anthony Kakache fight for the WBA World Super Featherweight title over in Dublin. And, of course, it's an event that Frank Warren is eagerly looking forward to because it's a Queensberry event. And the man himself, top boxing promoter, Mr. Warren, joins us live in the show. Frank, good morning.
Good morning, Jim. Good morning, Simon.
Morning, Frank.
Frank, good to speak to you. What have we got ahead of us on Saturday night, then?
A great night of boxing. It's sold out, absolutely sold out. The Fighting Irish over St Patrick's Day weekend have bought up all the tickets and they're in for a treat. We've got a real good, solid card there. Real good matchmaking. Every fight on there will be something special.
I mean, the ingredients are fantastic, Frank. Kakache, a Belfast boy, in Dublin for this on St Patrick's weekend in a title fight. You know what you're doing, Mr. Warren, don't you?
Well, you know, Dublin has always been a fight city. It's been a great fight city, and you know, taking Jazz's fight there with Anto is as I say, is a brilliant fight, well titled fight. You got Pierce O'Leary on there. He's 18-0, one of the products of our bringing youngsters through at Queensberry. He's making his debut. He personally sold thousands of tickets. So I'm delighted with this, and we've got a couple of debuts. One of them being Adam Alanian, who's he was a junior heavyweight champion of the world. I'm looking forward to him. He's going to be a brilliant addition to the heavyweight scene. So it's a fabulous card. As I say, sold out, and I think we got up until the 9th of May. We've got 6 quality shows, one after another. We've got Moses on the 28th. Of this month against Franklin, and that's I think we've got less than 1,000 tickets left on that. We're involved in the Chisora Wilder fight. Then we've got Collins Laurent rematch up in Scotland, which will be sold out. Great fight last time round. And we've got Tony Yoka in with Lawrence Sicoli, an eliminator for the title. That'll be in Paris. That's looking to be sold out. And then we end this little run of great fights with the Fabio Wardley and
Daniel Dubois
fight,
brilliant,
which
Frank.
again
Yeah.
is nigh on sold out. You know, we're delivering quality events in stadiums, big events in stadiums, meaningful fights. Of those shows I just mentioned, 4 of them involve top quality heavyweight fights, well title fights, number 1 fight, number 2, final eliminators, plus the other title fights that I mentioned. It's a great time for boxing and British boxing.
Sounds good,
Just
Frank.
give you a little fact.
Yeah.
In this month, March, this Boxing Board of Control are in this country are overseeing 31 events, 31 shows in this country. Boxing's so alive at the moment. It's flying.
I mean, I agree with you, Frank. And these are all rich pickings, which makes it all the more curious to see why Dana White's piled into you guys, turning around and saying that boxing is broken, that the fights haven't been made, that ultimately everything bad about boxing is going to be fixed by him, and specifically targeting you and Eddie as having had far too much your own way and not really had any competition. And I see the roster, I see the fights, I see the last 2 or 3 years especially being of the highest caliber, which hasn't involved Dana White and Dana White's opinion. What do you make of that sort of analysis?
Look, he's got his agenda and what he says. We speak with our actions, and our actions, they're there. These fights are there. They're sold out. They're in stadiums. There's stadium shows, and the public are coming out for them. They're all on the zone. We watch. You watch them on the zone. They're great fights. We're flying, absolutely flying. I mean, you can't get a better roster of fights than it. And what it is, it's the best fighting the best. Usyk at the moment is going to go and fight a kickboxer. So we're doing the next best thing and making these heavyweight fights happen. And we'll be pushing for, as soon as he's had his fight in Egypt, we'll be making sure that the WBC order the fight between him and Ajit Caballero, who's the number 1. Again, for a fighter we promote who was in a sold-out venue in Paris last time. So we're not broke, we're not busted. What we're doing is delivering to the fans and more importantly, delivering fights that the fans want to see. No one wants to watch a promoter fight a promoter. They paid for and look for the best fights, and that's what we do.
Undeniably, you're doing that, Frank. But because of what we've read and what we've heard, it's also undeniable that another big bruising battle is on the horizon with Dana White in one corner and you in the other.
Me? Why is that?
Well, we
no, Frank's issues with probably Turkey Al Sheikh.
We're Turkey Al Sheikh.
Sorry, say that again.
That obviously is shaping up for a bruising battle between yourself and Turkey Al Sheikh.
Well, I don't know. I mean, we've it's been documented that we've issued a letter before action, but I can't comment on that at the moment.
But you must agree, Frank. I mean, the landscape is being... I know you just made a very good point, which nobody queues up to see promoters versus promoters. But there's a lot of background noise. There's obviously you've got an issue, and I think you're right to have an issue. They cannot say the things they said about you. The Ring magazine and that tweet deserved to have a defamation action put against them. But we are seeing a lot of... We've seen this period of harmony where all of a sudden... you get on well with Eddie Hearn, fights get made. Now we've got Dana coming into the mix, and basically there's a fight going on between you and Turkey Al Sheikh, potentially over what was promised to you guys going forward, against the situation with Eddie Hearn having a battle with Dana White. Do you see this potentially challenging boxing, or do you just see it as a storm in a teacup that will resolve itself in the longer game?
Listen, I love a fight. I mean, fight. That's what we do. It's what we do. I mean, listen, all this is going on. I've just read out a roster of fighters. We're announcing 2 more shows next week for May. Great fight. Some more heavyweight title fight. That's what we do. We deliver. All the other stuff is just
background noise.
That's a sideshow. Who cares?
Do you not really view?
It's like I was listening to him yesterday, Mikel, on there talking about Arsenal cheating their way through. Who cares? We're doing it. We're doing the business.
I'm glad you were listening, Frank. I thought you'd pick up on that, actually. He was in fine form, John Obi Mikel.
Well, you thought he was in fine form. I thought he must have started early down there on the juice. Keep talking about dead ball situations. How can you have a problem? How can anybody say you're scoring goals from dead ball situations? To get to that situation, you have to attack to get the corners.
Frank, I see where you're taking us. But Frank, getting back to what we were talking about, you don't view Zuffa boxing as serious competition then, do you?
I see everybody as serious competition, but I don't care about it because my job is to worry about what I do. And as long as, and look, our actions speak louder than words. And you only got to see the shows we've been putting together and what we're doing and the investment we make in young talent. We didn't just sign them up 2 years ago. We signed up Moses, for example, 5 years ago. We've been sponsored him 5 years ago. We signed Daniel Dubois 10 years ago. This has been investment. That's what we do, invest in our fighters. And now we're investing in other fights in other countries now. We're in Paris. We'll be in Paris. We're going to do another one in Germany. And we're doing this in a big way. That's our commitment to boxing, to our... and that's the Queensbury way. We get out there and get it done. All these fights are on the zone.
Yeah.
We are the best promoter on the zone. Our shows are the best shows. We're selling out. They're great shows. That's where we are. And it's great having competition because it keeps us all on our toes. We love it. We love competition.
I like that.
We like proper competition.
Are Zuffa not proper competition?
I'm not going to go into anything. We like a nice level fight playing field of competition. I'm up for that all day long.
Frank, Alexander Usyk's revealed his final 3 fights end with the winner of Wardley Dubois and then Tyson Fury. Are you aware of the plans? I mean, are the wheels in motion for those 2 fights to come to fruition?
No conversations have been had regarding them. Let me tell you, he's got his fight in Egypt against the kickboxer. After that, he has to defend his WBC title against Ajit Kabayel, who's been very patient and has been active. Fought early, as I said earlier, in January. He has to have that fight. He has to do that fight. If he doesn't do it, then he has to vacate the title or he'll be stripped. And then he can fight one of those guys. Not a problem. They're with us. We can make these fights happen. But the most important thing he needs to focus on, he's got to defend that BC title against Kabayel.
What do you think, though, Frank? You must have a view on Usyk fighting a kickboxer.
What do I think?
Yeah.
I don't like all that stuff. I mean, I'm not a big fan of all that stuff,
But from the WBC point of view, Kabayel's been sitting in the wings, deserves his shot.
It's wrong. It's wrong.
Yeah.
He should have been fighting Kabayel.
But you put Fury in with Ngannou.
Yeah, I did put him in.
So you've indulged in it.
Sorry?
You've indulged in it.
I've indulged in something where some serious money was offered for a fight for a lot of money. And as I said at the time, it would be exciting, and it was exciting.
Brilliant. I'm glad you were listening yesterday, Frank. I'm so pleased that when you're not on talkSPORT with us, you listen to talkSPORT, and that's great.
Well, I have to have it. I have to have it. It's like that little thing in the background, because sometimes I struggle to sleep at night, so I put it on till it knocks me over.
That's a low blow. Thank you so much. Good luck with the show on Saturday night in Dublin, Frank. Sounds like a cracker.
Listen on talkSPORT or watch it on The Zone. I promise you're going to be really entertained.
Thank you, Frank. And of course, it's live on talkSPORT on Saturday night. What are you smiling?
I'm laughing at you because I didn't mean to draw Frank into the conversation about what was happening in WBC, so you could smack him with the Ngannou thing.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's true, isn't it?
No, it's true. It is true.
It's also true that we're just a bit over time, just gone half 11.
This all again. Yeah, welcome to the Sports Bar. I'm Jamie Harris, him over there.
Has anyone seen Spurs to Darren the Pooh? Can you hear me, Pooh? Your voice went hell of a beating. He got chewed up. He got chewed up again. The new manager Trouts. Can you hear me, new manager Trouts? Your voice went hell of a beating. Chicky. Can you hear me, Chicky? Your voice went hell of a beating. Encouraging side. Encouraging side. The only encouraging sides they turned up. Can you hear me, sides? Your voice went hell of a beating. Slipski in goal. What's going on? Slipski. Everyone was wearing roller skates. Mickey can't defend. No goal, Mawani. Can you hear me, Mawani? Your voice went hell of a beating. Beyonce. Europa League champions. Europa League champions. The big cockerel. Can you hear me, cockerel? You're going to win a hell of a beating. The Gregson Tottenham Road. The SI signing. What happened to that? What happened to that? The Morgan White signing. What happened to that? Big Ange. Can you hear me, Tottenham? You're going to win hell of a beating again.
Deary me. What is going on? What is going on? Spurs. They've done it again. Shambles. Get rid of this guy. He's got to go now! Sack him! Sack him! Sack him! Sack him!
Redknapp's told talkSPORT he hasn't had a call from Spurs about saving them from relegation, but he has spoken to former chairman Daniel Levy.
He did say to me, if I was there now, he said, I would definitely, and I'm not just saying it, so I would bring you back into to the end of the season, Harry.
Wow.
You know, so it would have been interesting.
Harry also joked he'd take O'Hara in as his assistant. Now, after a bad night for English teams in the Champions League, even Pep Guardiola admits Man City looked dead and buried. Meanwhile, have we seen this year's Puskas winner?
It was like, if you remember that great Matt Letizia goal that he scored for Southampton against Newcastle. He flicked the ball up past Kevin Scott and stroked it into the bottom corner. It was like that, but possibly even better.
talkSPORT's Jim Proudfoot there. Federico Valverde sealed a first-half hat-trick to give Real Madrid a 3-0 win. Chelsea's Pedro Neto says he's really sorry for pushing a PSG ball boy. He's apologised and given the lad his shirt after their 5-2 defeat in Paris. In the Championship, Frank Lampard's refusing to accept Coventry are as good as promoted. They beat Preston 3-0 to go 8 points clear at the top. And Jack Draper's beaten Novak Djokovic for the first time to keep his Indian Wells title defence on track. There's more at talksport.com.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. We're ready for the action. Are you? Visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app. 18 plus. Gambleaware.org.
So it's that time. BetMGM time. Here's Sean Martin. We're going to look at some of the top sporting events and the odds round and about them. Sean, good morning, mate. What about the Cheltenham Festival yesterday and maybe what's going on today?
Morning, lads. Yeah, I was speaking to the guys yesterday. Seemed like a brilliant day. I caught a fair amount of it on the YouTube stream. Frank Warren just mentioned it, and he wasn't very happy with him, obviously. But John Obi Mikel was box office, wasn't he, Jim? Did you enjoy it?
Did enjoy it. So did John Obi Mikel, along with Gabby Bonhor and Alex Crook. But I mean, there was an audience in there of 100 or so people who were stopped in their tracks when Obi Mikel opened up on Arsenal. It was something else. Now, tried to push him back as much as I could, but he's got his thoughts and he's sticking to them.
Yeah, as I say, I heard Frank just before I come on there, not best pleased, as I suspect most Arsenal fans weren't to hear that.
Yeah, it was quite a day. So on the racing front, how did you see it?
Yeah, I mean the action outside of the box yesterday. We saw the favourite Madsborough beaten in the BetMGM Queen Mother Champion Chase. Jinko Blue winning the BetMGM Cup as well, and then a couple of big price winners landed into the bargain. Today, the two kind of feature races are the Stairs Hurdle at 3:20 and the Ryanair Chase at 4. Our ambassador Meg Nichols, who you met yesterday as well, Jim, really knows her stuff. Her fancies for those are currently at Mashan 2 in the Stairs, which is an 11-2 shout, and 10-11 favourite Fact to File in the Ryanair. That's an 11-1 win double if anyone fancies siding with Meg. And you can actually get her tips for every race today and tomorrow as well on the BetMGM Cheltenham Festival Hub on the website as well, which is definitely worth a look.
Yeah, looking forward to it. It's quite an atmosphere at Cheltenham, as you know, Sean. Champions League, what about the outright odds now, Sean? And of course, we've got Europa and Conference League football going on tonight.
Yep, a very, very poor week for the Premier League sides so far, Jim. Couple of market movers for the Champions League as a result. Man City, they were 8-1 before a ball was kicked on Tuesday, moved way out to 20-1 now. Correspondingly, Real Madrid 12-1 Tuesday, now 8-1. And I think, to be fair to him, I think Dan Towse mentioned yesterday, but 5-2 odds for a Real Madrid home win last night in retrospect now seem ridiculously good. 3 more chances, of course, for the English side to get it right tonight. Aston Villa in the Europa League early kick-off away to Lille. 5-4 favourites, the Villains. Obviously, only a few weeks back, really, there was talk of a title challenge and an FA Cup run alongside the Europa. They're both gone now, you would say, but over even money tonight to keep the European run on track. The other two Premier League sides in action, almost kind of similar situations for them. Nottingham Forest at home to FC Midtjylland. Crystal Palace at home to AEK Larnaca. Both teams having lost to those very same opponents at home earlier this season. Doesn't change the fact they're both favourites to win this time round though. Forest are 2-1 on, and Palace an even shorter 4-1 on. If you fancy the English sides to reverse the trend of this midweek, Jim, all 3 to win is 16-5, so just above the 3-1 mark. And if you think this midweek trend will continue for the Premier League sides, all 3 to fail to win is currently 23-4, so somewhere between 5.5 and 6-1, guys.
Well done. Night 6, BetMGM Premier League darts. Nottingham, I think. Is that right, Sean?
It is Nottingham yet. 5 weeks in, Jim. 5 different winners, 2 big fishes and a 9-darter. It's proper ramping up now. Helped, of course, by Luke Littler opening his account last week. He's gone back-to-back with nightly wins 3 times before in the BetMGM Premier League. He's 64 favourite to do it again here, having also just won the UK Open again on Sunday as well, remember. He takes on Gerwyn Price in his opener, and the winner of that gets either Luke Humphries, who's still not won a night and sits third bottom, or Jan van Veen in the semis. 3 of the world's top 4 in one half of the draw potentially means there's a bit of value even each way. In the other half of the draw, that features a battle of the bottom 2, Josh Rock versus Stephen Bunting kicks things off, and then league leader Johnny Clayton against Michael van Gerwen. One of those 4 will make the final, and you can get odds ranging from 2-1 for Clayton to 7-2 for MVG for a top 2 finish for one of those 4, which could be worth a look. And I mentioned we had a 9-darter a couple of weeks ago, Jim. It's 6-1 for another one tonight at Nottingham.
6-1 for that. Let's finish with the boxing, Sean. You probably heard we're going to be talking further about Jazza Dickens against Anthony Kakache in Dublin this weekend. We'll do that from 12, but what can you offer at the moment?
Yeah, I did catch the segment with Frank. I was listening in there. It is a pretty underrated card, I think. Few names there and a couple of potentially close fights. In terms of the odds, Kakache quite heavy favourite, 2-5 to go down to Dublin and come back with a second world title. Jazza Dickens 43-20, so over 2-1. They're not necessarily either of them known for knockouts, but both are on a decent run of stoppages. Dickens 3 of his last 4, I think it is, and Kakache 2 of his last 3. But generally, I don't know what you think, Simon, but you'd think this would go the distance. And on that front, it's Kakache 11-8 and Dickens 19-5 for that, so almost 4-1 for Dickens.
You want to come in with an early prediction?
I think Anthony Kakache's too big. And I think Jazza Dickens has earned this world title belt. His last opponent was a very good opponent. He's a very good fighter. He's very bold to go into the Lions' back garden to some extent. But it'll be a proper fight. But I just feel on the balance of probability that Anthony Kakache's run of form, confidence, belief, and also size is going to make the difference. Good fight though. Great fight.
Stoppage?
I think there's a distinct possibility it'll be a stoppage, yeah. I think he carries the power. I mean, we saw what he did to Joe Cordina. People were saying at the time Joe was the form fighter, the elite fighter in that weight class to some extent, but was drained at the weight, but also that he was an elite fighter. And look what he did there. Look what he's done to other fighters. I just think he's in such good form that I can't see past him, but that doesn't mean I'm devaluing Jazza Dickens, who is also a very good fighter, done it the hard way, done everything the hard way and earned everything he's got. So he's going to make a real fight of it, and it'll be a great fight.
Okay, Sean, terrific stuff. Thank you so much. Sean Martin with us here from BetMGM. Visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app. 18 plus, begambleaware.org.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Keep things golden with responsible play at betmgm.co.uk. 18 plus, gambleaware.org.
I feel sorry for Kingsky. Yeah, I feel.
How can you feel sorry for him, Jim? I feel sorry for him. I feel sorry for him on a human level, right? I feel sorry for him, right? 22 years old. He's been thrown in the deep end. I get it, and he's had a stinker, right? But he is a professional footballer. Like, he is a professional football player. He's the number 2 for Tottenham Hotspur. Like, you've got to have... Like, you're meant to be a decent keeper. You cannot come in a Champions League fixture and do what he done. Like, like, on a human level, I get it. You feel for him. Igor Tudor is an absolute charlatan for putting him in there in the first place to make that decision.
It's not his fault, is it?
Well, it is his fault because he picked him.
No, but, no.
And then he dragged him, and then he didn't even put his arm around him to say, don't worry, lad. He just walked down the tunnel, crying.
Right, listen, I've got an idea.
Igor Tudor didn't even put his arm around him to say,
listen, Jay, I've got an idea. Right? Harry Redknapp. It's been my choice for a number of weeks now.
Harry Redknapp is not...
No, hold on. Harry Redknapp is my number one, right? He's got the Gold Cup coming up Friday. He wins that. Jukebox man. He's on a high. He's going in the jungle. We've heard he's going in the jungle, right? All Spurs fans should vote him out early. Vote him out early. Spurs fans, you can still play a part in your season. Vote him out early, and he may rock up to save your season.
Honestly. Enjoy complete coverage of the Cheltenham Festival on Racing TV, the only channel showing every race live. Racing TV live on air from 9:45 in the morning every day of the festival. 32 hours of unmissable coverage. Join Racing TV for half the price for an entire year. Head to racingtv.com/half price now to celebrate. Racing TV is giving away a pair of tickets to Grand National Day at Aintree. Go to talksport.com/win to enter. 18 plus terms and conditions apply.
There's one channel I won't be watching.
Well, thank you for that. That was delightful at the end of a promotion for Racing TV. Only you could come in with that. Simon sitting to my left here, in good form here in studio, as was Gabia Bonlahor yesterday at Cheltenham, as was Alex Crook, and certainly as was John Obi McKell.
Good, I'm pleased.
It was great.
Make up for your shortcomings, weren't they?
The common denominator and all that was that you were nowhere near it. Here's the thing. Tottenham Hotspur, my God, have they been in the news for all the wrong reasons this week? It's fair to say that Igor Tudor's time in temporary charge has thus far been a disaster. And the same Igor Tudor, it appears talkSPORT understands, has alienated many of the Tottenham players. His treatment of the goalkeeper, Antonin Kinski, in Madrid hasn't gone down well with the dressing room, it is understood. Some members of the Spurs squad are understood to have been shocked both by the timing of the decision to drop Vicario for such a big game and then Tudor's personal response to Kingsley, who he took off after 17 minutes at the Metropolitano. Spurs players unhappy that Kingsley was ignored by Tudor as he left the field. And instead, Dominic Solanke, Palinha, Conor Gallagher all jumped off the bench and followed the goalkeeper down the tunnel to support their teammate. Apparently, Kevin Danso, Pedro Porro and Christian Romero also consoled Kinski as he left the pitch. Where are we at now, Simon, with this? Have we got a bunch of players who do not approve of the way Igor Tudor is going about things? As for Mickey van de Ven, post-match, when asked about mentally, how are they getting out of this situation, how do you cope with it mentally? He says, well, I could give the standard talk that we all have to stick together and work hard, but we're just being dealt blow after blow. It's really difficult. We have an important match this weekend. I can't be at that because I'm suspended. But it's truly a terrible time. How am I feeling mentally? Well, it's tough, I can tell you. Really tough. Where do you go with that if you're Igor Tudor? Presumably, you're in the school of thought, Tudor's still got the job. As long as he's got the job on an interim basis, he carries on
it's all,
unaffected.
It's all well and good for players potentially briefing in however we've managed to ascertain this information that they're not having the manager. Well, I'll tell you what we're not having is your performances. I mean, there is a school of thought that says I can't get my head around a manager called Igor. It always reminds me of the film Young Frankenstein. I can't help but think of that. Marty Feldman in the dugout.
Yes.
But the players themselves. I mean, this idea. I sat there watching it, and I felt for the goalkeeper to some extent. If they'd left him on the field and conceded the fourth goal, there would have been this deluge of opinions about he should have taken him off. I'm not in the. Maybe I'm harder, and maybe I'm not right. But this idea that somehow consoling the goalkeeper that's made two mistakes that have thrown you right in the cart, that's compounded the problems that you've got, exacerbated the debate about whether he should have been in the team in the first place. You've given him an opportunity. He's let you down. He's let the team down. His performance was abject. And what people think is he should be given a cuddle on the way out. Now, I find that perplexing because we're in a professional football field where players are paid highly, rewarded highly, lauded and applauded. They've got big enough mouths to tell you what they're entitled to, constantly brief against the establishment that they're working for. I watched Jed Spence having the audacity to go and tap the manager on the shoulder and make sure that he shook his hand. This is the same Jed Spence that wouldn't shake Thomas Frank's hand when he was on the pitch being all cocky about that back in the day. I get tired of these players. Get on with doing your jobs. To some extent, get on with doing your jobs in spite of the manager if that's what it takes to get you out of this particular problem. And that doesn't lend me to the conclusion that you go and have a debate with the players as the owner. But the bottom line is there's too much of what these players are entitled to, too much of what they should and shouldn't be getting. The goalkeeper got the hook because he was crap. And it doesn't really matter if you sit there, give him a pat on the back, which, by the way, how can you give him a pat on the back? How can you console him? How can you turn around and say, never mind, son? There was poor performance. It's put your team in a dreadful position. And it doesn't really matter just because the optics of this bleeding heart world suggest that a professional footballer needs to be consoled because he's now ruined. How about this professional footballer goes away, gets some resilience, comes back and proves his points, rather than all these voices coming out saying that's the end of him. Maybe it's the making of him.
So do you think Tudor was right just to blank him? I don't
think it matters either which way, as long as he attends to the detail of saying to the goalkeeper why he got hooked off, what the reasons for it were, and why he operates the way he did, because it was he that gave the goalkeeper the chance. His reward for giving him the chance was that performance. So I'm not surprised in the real world where grown-ups live, rather than media commentary from people that have played the game and are ultimately a virtue signalling about what should happen to this player, is that the player should be given a cuddle. He shouldn't be given a cuddle. He should be sent down the tunnel in embarrassment because he's embarrassed himself and the team. And out of that will come some mental stability and strength and some resilience, or it won't. Because to be a professional footballer playing for a Premier League club in a Champions League game requires real steel and substance.
So was it good man management in Tudor's part?
Well, man management in terms of what? Dealing with the player and making sure that he feels all right, or trying to focus on the collective.
Dealing with the problem at the time. In the way he did it,
to whose end?
Hooking him and then not acknowledging him.
The bigger question. None of that matters to me. None of that offends me in either which way. I mean, the outcome of the performance was shaped by those 3 goals, and 2 of them were directly related to the goalkeeper, and directly related, I suspect, to the criticism that he picked him in the first place. We saw this goalkeeper. We saw him a year ago in the League Cup, celebrating with his family. Everyone, waxing lyrical about how good a goalkeeper he was. Yeah. He's been given an opportunity. He's been banging on the door. Give me a chance. And by the way, it's the lesser of 2 evils because Vaquero's crap as well. But the fact of the matter is he's given a chance and he rewards the manager with that. So if I'm Tudor, I'm sitting there like a human being going, I can't believe what I've done here. I can't believe I put this kid in goal, given him an opportunity, taken a risk because I think it's the right thing to do. I think it needs a change up because I didn't like the way Vaquero bottled out of the 3rd goal against Palace and didn't commit himself. And I want to see a goalkeeper that's got something about him. And I get this. So in the real world, rather than the world of sitting in a box like Schmeichel and others guys, that's ruined him. Why has it ruined him? So you can't have adversity. You can't have something so poor and come back from it. What does that say about society?
That's a challenge ahead of the boy now, isn't it?
Fine, rise to it.
Come back from it.
Rise to it.
Yeah.
Prove people wrong.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be your defining moment. But as far as Igor Tudor's concerned, he's called out players. He's got no reaction. He's taken some mythical solace from the second half of the Palace game because he can't do anything other than that because he's called the players out. The players have done bugger all. His centre-back's got sent off. Romero, is whatever he is. Right? And now so now after the second half of Palace, he goes, I've seen things I can build from. No, you haven't. You've got nowhere else to go now.
Right.
So what do you do? What do you do? What do you do? Get that demented vulture, Harry Redknapp, to come back in again, who's clucking around now, making sure that everyone hears that he's in the background.
Hang on, that's a bit strong. Harry was on breakfast this morning. Let's listen to him.
I think someone like Tim Glenn Hoddle even, would still be...
What about yourself?
Yeah, I'd do it for sure. I mean, I wouldn't say... But I don't see myself getting it, to be true.
Have they reached out to you?
No, never spoke to anybody, so...
In terms of Daniel Levy, I mean, he's no longer at the club, but do you think if he were still in his position there, maybe you would have had a phone call?
Yeah,
because
I got a phone call last week from Daniel, funny enough. I think I spoke to him once since I left, all that time ago. Wow. Phone goes in Daniel Levy. I thought, strange, And I on the phone about half hour chatting to him, and he was explaining, what had happened to him and how he sort of got marched out of there, which was really strange, wasn't it? And now, obviously, he's got no control anymore. He's nothing to, he's probably still owns the shares, doesn't he? So, yeah, it was quite interesting. He did say to me, if I was there now, he said, I would definitely, and I'm not just saying it, so I would bring you back into to the end of the season.
So there you go.
Nice and discreet.
Well, I mean, discreet or not, Harry's quite entitled to say it, because according to Harry, that is exactly what happened.
I read the article in the Times on the weekend where he's popped up. I read the article. This is what Harry Redknapp does, pops up and circles around like a demented vulture, sees an opportunity. Whether he could go in there and galvanise, a lot of fans think he would. What he would do, undeniably, is he would get the fans on side.
Right.
Because the fans are offside. Now,
well, that's a start.
Now, whether he could get the players on side, because these bunch of inherent layabouts are the reasons why you've got a problem. You can make it about the managers, you can make it about the coaches, you can make it about the board, but somewhere along the line you've also got to make it about the players as well.
Yeah, but you have to think Harry would do exactly that. Get them together.
Maybe.
And Tudor's failed to do that.
Maybe he can bring his phone in from the jungle and he can sit on that and they can all worship at that altar.
Come on.
The fact of the matter is that we've got a situation where Spurs have got a serious problem on their hands. What you would get is the fans back on side, potentially for a period of time, until the players went out and let themselves down again. Because it is the players that are letting the club down. I know the manager's got a key part to play. I know it's his charges. This guy is not necessarily the solution. It's fascinating to wonder why they chose him and what they thought about it, because clearly they thought that a disciplinarian getting in there, livening a few of those people up, consequence to them, was the right thing to do at this time in the season. I don't know whether it was or it wasn't, because clearly you look at it and they're not having it. They're not responding, whether they're not capable of it, or they're so under-aroused that they're having difficulty getting out of the dressing room. I don't know what the solution is to this particular problem.
But you've been going after the players after we started talking about Tottenham this morning.
Because they're a disgrace.
And Tudor's done the same. Out of respect to Tudor, should the players not give it back to Tudor and give him what he wants?
But me going after the players is irrelevant in comparison with the manager going after players, because the players, I don't have any influence over the players. He does. So he has to find a way to get the results from these players one way or t'other that he needs to get. And unfortunately, you're never going to know what result they could have got against Atletico Madrid, because their goalkeeper throws in 2 goals and sets the tone. So you could never see that Spurs were going to be competitive in this game. And as it happens, they've got the same result as Chelsea, and there's no landed crisis at Chelsea as a result of getting beat 5-2.
So if you're in a lofty position at Tottenham Hotspur at the moment, next up Liverpool away, then Forest at home, do you say Igor? You're in for those two.
Igor. Listen, I don't know the dynamics of why they brought him in. Only they know that. And if it's along the lines that they think that he was a temporary fix because that's what he does historically, well, that's proven to be wrong. It's proven to be the case, irrespective of how you slice and dice it, that the intellectual capital that's running Spurs, that took over from Daniel Levy, wherever people think I've got a bias towards Levy, don't know what they're doing. They didn't buy players in January to support the team. They sold a player and they brought in Conor Gallagher. Well, that'll fix a lot. Right? They got problems at that football club that they needed to fix. They've made a big hullabaloo and a song and dance and dog and pony show about how they were going to run this football club and how ambitious they were, and they're going to get them relegated if they're not careful. Well done. And then, of course, people will then visit that back to Daniel, and that's up to them if they want to do so. But I can't superimpose what their knowledge is, because I don't think they have very much. I'm looking at the decisions that are being made.
They're in a bad spot.
And the architect of that is what? Oh, yes, of course, it'll be attributed to them. This playing squad, however crap it may be, is better than 4th and bottom or 5th and bottom in this league. No, they're not a top 6 side. Granted, no way would I say they're a top 6 side, but they're a top 10 side, not a bottom 5 side. And that is on the choices that have been made. It's not on a historic recruitment programme. It's on a historic recruitment programme if you want to win the league.
Okay.
If you want to finish 6th or 5th or 4th. Not if you want to finish mid-table.
All right, we watch for it. It's a late kick-off on Sunday. Igor, this is Arnie. Arnie, this is Igor, as Tottenham Hotspur go to Liverpool. It's 12 noon.
Will you be sick as and when they win the title?
Oh my God! I think I'll switch off my phone for like 2 weeks. My phone will be off for 2 weeks if Arsenal win the Premier League. But I still think they're gonna bottle it. You know,
Do you?
There's still, there's still time for that. Don't worry about that. It's 6-7 games.
8 games.
They always find a way. They will slip up. They will find
But
a
are
way.
City good enough to take advantage?
That is the thing, though. City keep slipping up as well. But I think right now, I don't think City will lose any game from now till the end of the season. I think they're going to go. They're going to press that button right now. They're going to go for it. I think Pep Guardiola right now knows that this is the crunch time. But when I look at the games that Arsenal do have, I still see them dropping points. They still have to play City at home as well. So away at City. So
yeah, that's right.
Arsenal, the history of the football club tells you that they find a way of messing it up.
Let me ask you another question that I think might annoy you. Because Arsenal's style of play this season has been criticised.
Oh.
But whenever they get criticised, the response I get from Arsenal fans is that Mourinho used to park the bus. We just play like Mourinho's Chelsea.
We used to pack the bus, yes, but we won legally. When I watch Arsenal play right now, they depend solely on corner kicks. You have spent almost $1 billion, Mikel Arteta, almost $1 billion. And you're telling me the only way you can win games is through corner kicks? It's ridiculous.
But does it matter how you win, John?
It does matter. It does matter.
Why?
They're winning ugly.
You'd love to be in their position at the moment.
I would love to. The only reason
They're on for the
only reason why the Arsenal fans are not complaining with the style of football that they're playing is because they're top of the league.
Yeah.
If they're not top of the league, they will complain that they're not enjoying the type of football that they're playing.
Dear Kitmen, we see you, we appreciate your work. While some fans reckon it's just hanging up shirts in dressing rooms, we know it's so much more. A football team's kit is its identity, its uniform, what sets it out from the rest. But it doesn't clean itself. That's not just the shirts, it's the shorts, the socks, the training gear, the boots, the other bits we sort out behind closed doors. Who's the one digging around in that smelly, stinky laundry basket at full time? Yeah, it's the kitman. They have a lot to work on in a week, from laundry, fixing damaged kit, repairing holes, cleaning boots. Then they pack the van and take everything they need off to the stadium, ready for game day. They don't get a lot of help when they get in the ground too. Kitmen are the ones unloading a full squad's worth of boots, kit, medical bags, and all the bits the players and coaches will need between the start of the day and switching off the floodlights at the end of the day. First thing they do is organise each player's kit. Make it easily accessible in order to avoid any dramas on match day. Once everything's in the right place, it's into the dressing room, lay everything out, put players' nameplates on the right locker, all the things you don't even think about on a match day. Once the players arrive, if anything needs doing, they call the kitman. In the meantime, it's on the kitman to help set up for the warm-up. The coaches don't always have time to lay out all the cones and put the balls in those weird triangle piles you see. As the warm-up is underway, the kitman then becomes a glorified ball boy, chasing stray shots and passes, making sure they aren't lost in the crowds. They eventually do the tidying up too, getting everything off the pitch before kick-off and assist the ground staff with any last-minute things they may need. After that, it's last call for the players. Then, at kick-off, they can breathe a sigh of relief for a few minutes, sit back and watch the game, enjoy the fruits of their labour. At half-time, check everyone's okay and everything's as it should be, and then wait for full-time. Once the final whistle's gone, it's time to pack everything down, get the stuff that needs to be washed in the laundry, pack up the van, back to the training ground and ready to do it again next week. Of course, each club differs, and different staff members will have different responsibilities, but we pay tribute to all of those who do it, whether it's the glitz and glamour of the Premier League or a cold Tuesday night in Stoke.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thursday lunchtime, and that means that we are going to be talking boxing for the next hour. It's 8 minutes past 12 noon. It's Jim White and it's Simon Jordan, and we are live on talkSPORT, coming to you live on YouTube as well. You will not miss a trick, and a lot is coming your way. It's certainly coming your way in Dublin this weekend because the live boxing returns to talkSPORT's network this week. Jazza Dickens and Anthony Kakache fight for the WBA World Super Featherweight title in Dublin. Very shortly, we'll head over to Dublin and we're going to be hearing from Kakache. We'll hear from Spencer Oliver, and we'll also hear, of course, from Adam Catterall. All of them over there, and looking forward to it immensely, as far as I gather. So are you, Simon, are you not?
Good fight.
Yeah.
Very good fight.
Yeah. But here's the thing. After years of promoters being best friends, is a bit of warring actually just what boxing needs? And a bit of warring is what we are seeing. Now, we're going to get reaction in a few moments from Duke McKenzie, former fighter turned top pundit, who joins us in studio. Duke, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, champ.
And his voice and his presence is undeniably, instantly recognisable these days. Adi Oladipo is alongside me here in studio.
Cheers, Jim.
You've been a busy boy, just back from Nigeria,
Just back from Nigeria. Loads going on in the sport of boxing in Nigeria, so hopefully we can see big events sort of go over in the continent very soon, more regular.
Good man. Adi, we'll touch on that very shortly. What we do know is this. Frank Warren, who was on this show just a short time ago, talking about the Dublin card this weekend, is suing TKO and Sella, whilst the head of Zuffa, Dana White, and Matchroom's Eddie Hearn have continued their exchange of words in the last few days, following Jai Opataya's Zuffa belt win over Brandon Glanton. Now, this is Eddie reacting to Dana White on the Ariel Helwani show.
Boxing's not for him, right? It's the worst business in the world. And I didn't expect him to implode this early. He's called me out for a fight, right? And then he says that I'm not competition. I'll be honest with you, I agree with him. Because in boxing right now, as I've said before, he cannot lace my boots. He's sitting there and spinning a narrative like he's created these unbelievable blockbuster shows in stadiums. He ain't out the garage yet. Literally 4 shows in, and absolute bang average content. If we were in COVID right now, I would actually say they're doing okay. Because that's what it is. And they come out and they've got no vision. Hey, you've literally, you can't even be bothered to leave your office where you've got 200 people watching supposedly a world championship fight that, by the way, wasn't actually a world championship fight. And of the 4 cards that I've seen, nothing. Talk about, I haven't done anything or impressed them. What have we seen? Like, honestly, if you listen to it, it is literally like every show they've done is a stadium sellout with pound for pound stars in unification fights, and it's just set the sport alight. They have done nothing.
So Adi Oladipo is with me. So too is Duke McKenzie, and of course Simon will weigh in on this as well. Adi, a bit of warring amongst the promoters, to put it mildly. We haven't had this in the sport for some time. Is it good for the sport, or will it tear it apart?
No, look, I like it. I think it's good. I liked when Eddie and Frank were going back and forth. And I know sometimes it meant that we didn't see the fights we wanted, But I didn't mind that. As a fan, I used to tune in for what Frank's going to say about Eddie, what Eddie's going to say about Frank. And obviously now, everyone's kumbaya around the fire and it's got a bit boring. So I don't mind. I almost don't mind Dana White and Eddie going back and forth. And I think Eddie likes it as well. I think Dana White Eddie almost pretends as though Dana White's antagonising him and coming for him. I almost feel like it's Eddie doing that, if I'm honest with you. And I think Eddie likes to do that. And I think Eddie wants to do that. And Eddie's saying that they're not competition yet and they're not putting on big events. They are competition and they're coming. That's their 4th event in, 2.5 months. There's a 5th one planned. There's a lot of talk about them doing a further 12 shows before the end of the year. Yes, I don't like the fact that it's in the Apex, what Eddie called their garage yet, because you're right, it is a venue for COVID and we're out of COVID, so they should go to bigger venues. But they're putting on fights. They're putting on good fights. It does look a bit stale, but Zuffa are here, and I think they're here to really compete. And eventually, their plan is to take over. So I think Eddie's got to make sure that he's pulled his socks up and he's ready to go for this one.
Do you think it's doing the sport no harm?
It can't do a bad thing for the sport. Competition is always healthy, and it doesn't matter what sport we're talking about. The fact that Zuffa have come into boxing now, at this particular time, there's a lot of promoters out there, aren't there? You know, like small hall promoters are coming through. You've got small hall promoters that want to be big. They all want to be the Eddie Hearns of the world and Frank Warrens of the world. It's going to be great because, you know, Frank Warren will get the bit between his teeth, as will Eddie Hearn. He's got the bit between his teeth now. So, it's all good. Can't be a bad thing.
Simon, on Top Boxing this week, you said all of this is confected. It's fake. It's not real.
I think there's none of that. I mean, it's interesting. I mean, Eddie Hearn talks about lacing my boots. To quote the great Kevin Kelly, he might get his boots smoked by Zuffa because they've got the money and the broadcast deals to really capitalise on the opportunity. And they will come. And they are coming. I don't agree with Dana's observations about the fact that everything... He described the UFC model as being built upon everything that was bad in boxing, everything he hated was something he was going to deploy in building UFC. Whole different set of rules, whole different set of game, whole different set of structure, whole different industry in terms of UFC and what he built it from. This is a different ball game. He's not going to have a free run at it. Yes, he's got a lot of opportunities in front of him. Yes, he's got a stable. He's got the challenges of how he's done UFC. He's been sued up the yin yang for compensation from fighters. So he's got that circle to square with fighters coming in. He's got fighters that are ultimately wanting to fight for legitimate belts rather than this Zuffa nonsense right now, with the Ring magazine the only credibility really behind it. So I think it's confected because I think both of them, you know, they love the limelight. And when Eddie gets all offended about, he's asking me for a fight. I remember being in the studio challenging Eddie a year ago and he was suggesting that we had a fight. So he's perfectly prone to doing it himself. Now he's saying it's an offensive thing that Dana White suggests that we have a fight. Look, the bottom line is they're getting noise and they're getting attention. And that's what they do. They're promoters. That's what their job is. Now, whether it's about themselves or whether it's about their charges, it brings noise. Behind it, poking a little stick with some excrement on the end of it, is Turkey al-Sheikh, winding everybody up and getting everybody at it, whether it's Frank because he's saying defamatory things or his Ring magazine colleagues are saying defamatory things about Queensberry, or he's poking Eddie Hearn via Dana White. But all of it is about building this glass ceiling that Turkey believes is breakable and breakthroughable in terms of making boxing a much bigger sport than some of the 5 or 6 sports around the world that are currently bigger than it.
I mean, Addy, I noticed that Hearn has also accused Dana White of tightly controlling the interviews that he gives to media outlets. He's claimed reporters are limited in the questions they are allowed to ask. Is there anything in that?
Yeah, I do believe there is. I speak to a lot of these YouTubers. That's the background I came from. And I know that a lot of them are asked about the questions prior to the interviews, and a lot of them are then, once the interview has been done, asked to look at the interview before it goes live. That happens, and that just doesn't happen with boxing. That happens in general. But Eddie will kind of show and tell. You can kind of put out whatever you want to put out, and I think he backs himself to kind of go back on anyone that says otherwise.
Or he bans them. Or once he's extracted Charlie Parsons from his backside, he allows people to ask questions. We've all known over the years that the consequence of asking meaningful questions is you get shut down by whoever it is. Eddie's bolder than most, but notwithstanding that, he's had pillow-fisted questions from Coogan and from other people over the years, and it's only because the temperature's been raised by people like us that go, I couldn't care less if Eddie comes in the studio or not, that now they're being a bit braver about the questions they will and won't answer.
Yeah. How does this end, do you think, Duke?
It will probably end with, like you say, it'll be like a real old-fashioned, gunslinger, flipping gunfight at the OK Corral. They're going to have it out, aren't they?
Ultimately, though, Jim, I mean, Simon touched on it. Ultimately, the guy controlling all of them is Turkey al-Sheikh. Obviously, Nick Khan's involved now as well, so there's more power brokers at the top, and others, right? So it ends when he kind of wants it to end because he's the one that's controlling everything here. And one thing Eddie did say in the Ario interview, which I thought was quite good, it's a shame we didn't hear it. I don't understand. I've been around Turkey. I've been at these big events that Turkey's put on. He loves the big events, the glitz, the glamour, 90,000 at Wembley, whatever, in the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. These events in front of 250 people, I don't think he's turned up for one because they're still. You know, the fighters are coming in uniforms. They're wearing Paramount gloves. Fighters are characters. Duke would tell you this. Everyone comes in like... So he would have put Prince Nassim Hamed, who used to come in leopard skin sort of shorts. It'd have put him in Paramount grey shorts. I feel like there's a lot that needs to be worked out when it comes to Zuffa, but ultimately they're putting on fights and fighters are getting paid.
What's happened to this sport of yours, Duke?
Yeah, you know what? The way Eddie's just described it, it's like it's all... Not the fights is staged, but the actual production is staged. And I suppose when Eddie Hearn, Frank Warren and the like came into the sport, I suppose they were only playing to small halls and it took them time to build up. It will take Zuffa a time to build up, I guess, over the ages. But the only thing, one of the things that I've got a slight gripe about, which I'm sure Simon will agree with me, is the fact that they want to match all the young kids against the young kids. I've always been taught that if you've got a young prospect, you've got to build him and give him time. You don't get that young prospect to fight another young prospect.
Right.
When they both only had 6 or 10 fights.
Yeah. Well, when it comes to the promoters, it's a game of knives, and it might end up whose knife is sharpest. We're off to Dublin next. Stay with us.
Guess who Spurs play second last game of the season? Chelsea.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to make sure we get them down. How would you approach that game if you're a Chelsea player now? Reece James, a leader, knows what it's about. How do they approach that game? They'll need to win themselves probably to get top 5 Champions League, exactly. And they know they can probably send Spurs down.
Oh, you can never write it back, can you? I mean, for us to send Spurs down, can you? I think we should try for Chelsea to send Spurs down and for Arsenal to win the title as well. So.
John, let me ask you, it's a serious one, this. Do you think these Tottenham Hotspur players are aligned to Igor Tudor?
I don't think so, what I see. I don't think so. I think they haven't bought to what the manager wants them to do. I believe that the manager is coming and he wants to make a stand. He wants to be tough. He's a tough manager. But I just think this Spurs team, there's so many young mentality there. I think the mentality there is the question. The mentality there is not big team mentality. When I look at the players, there's no desire to run. There's no desire to do the basic. You look at the captain of the team, Romeo. He's getting sent off every week. You need your leader to be on the pitch, especially in this difficult time. He's never on the pitch. He's never there for the manager to select him. And even when he plays, you never know what you get from him. So it's so much chaotic happening in Spurs. And I just think if they're not careful, we will be watching championship football.
And if he hadn't lost the dressing room already, with what he did with the young goalkeeper last night, if you were a teammate of Kinski's, you're not going to buy into this manager, are you?
No, definitely not. I wouldn't, because you needed at that point in time, you need the manager to come, put his arm around the goalkeeper and say, you know what, it's a mistake. It happens.
It's Thursday lunchtime, fast approaching. It's Jim White, it's Simon Jordan, Adi Oladipo, and Duke McKenzie in studio as we talk boxing this Thursday lunchtime, looking ahead at this stage specifically to what's about to happen in Dublin on Saturday night. Live boxing returns to the talkSPORT network this week. Jazza Dickens, Anthony Kakache fight for the WBA World Super Featherweight title in Dublin. And these fellas in studio this lunchtime are absolutely all over it. So is Spencer Oliver, who joins us live from Dublin. Spencer, good afternoon to you, mate. Ahead of the big... The reply, and it didn't sound to me that was Spencer Oliver. This is why you have Adi Oladipo and Duke McKenzie in studio alongside Simon and myself. Adi, you do it for me. You're looking forward to this one.
I am. It's a great fight, and I'm happy it's happening. There were some worries that Jazza might not be able to make it to Dublin, obviously now based in Dubai. But he has made it over there, and he's fit and he's ready to go. And let's not forget, he is the champion. And he's almost having this Indian summer-like career, a tail end to his career. A fantastic win against Batagazaviev, hence why he won that title. Before that, a massive win against Zelfa Barrett. He's not naturally a super featherweight. He's boxed at a lower weight class, but now, I think we're seeing this with a lot of people. Find your weight. Don't kill yourself to make a weight. Find your weight. And I think this super featherweight suits him to a T. The only issue is Kakache is a massive super featherweight. Huge. Who really could be a 140 fighter. He's so big, massive shoulders. He's not been as busy. A few injuries through a few sort of false dawns, a few starts and stops. But this is going to be difficult for Jazza because I think Kakache really is something really special in the super featherweight division. Obviously, age is getting there with him, but he's a fresher of the two. He's had less fights, and it's going to be just the atmosphere in this free arena. If you've never been there, it's fantastic. It's gladiatorial. Yeah. The way the fans look down into the venue is just sensational. I've been there a few times for Katie Taylor fights, and the Irish really get behind their fighters. So it's a big ask for Jazza Dickens, but I mean, he's pulled off a few big ones most recently, so you never know.
Adi, let's go there now because Spencer's with us live from Dublin. How's it shaping up, Spencer? You got us?
Yeah, I've got you guys, and yeah, it's shaping up very nicely. I'm just looking at Anthony Kakache now, and you know, Adi was talking about the size of him, and he's absolutely huge for a super featherweight. That is for sure. But yeah, it's a cracking fight, this one. Jazza Dickens is the road warrior. He's the guy that has been on the road a lot, and you know, he likes going into the other guy's backyard. We saw it last time out in Istanbul when he beat Albert Batazeliev, and what a performance that was, beating the Olympic gold medalist and capturing that WBA world title. So this is a classic fight, a brilliant fight. Kakache does start favourite, but you can't underestimate Jazza Dickens.
Duke, I mean, do you see exactly as the way the boys have described it? It's this, the sheer bulk of Kakache. Dickens might find life difficult.
Yeah, you know, Jazz is a good fighter, and as we've already stated, he's been around the block. He's used to being the challenger. He's used to being the underdog. Starts his fight as the champion, but they couldn't have got him a harder fight than Kakache. Kakache is he's a real throwback fighter, and you know, I mean, if you look at forget his size difference, look at his combinations and his work rate. He's got a good work ethic. The way he plots and lays traps for fighters and breaks them down systematically. You won't see him running in just throwing shots aimlessly. Every shot's thrown with pinpoint precision, and Jazza Dickens is going to have to be at his absolute best. And he's going to have maybe a slightly different game plan because you can't bushwhack Kakache. You can't. He'll come unstuck.
Is there any way you can see Dickens winning it then, Spencer?
Listen, look, like I say, you know, he likes being the underdog. He sort of feeds off being the underdog, going into the guy's backyard. And he's been talking about that. You know, he knows he's coming in here against Kakache. And Duke's right in what he says. You know, since Kakache captured that world title against Joe Cordina out in Saudi Arabia, that 8th round knockout where he was the underdog, he's gone from strength to strength, you know, beating the likes of Lee Wood last time out, which was a great performance, Josh Warrington. So you go, he's a dangerous guy, heavy-handed guy. You know, he's very calculated in his work and what he does. But Jazza Dickens, fighting out that southpaw style. I've got a question for you, actually, Duke. What? Why is it that when you get two southpaws boxing each other, sometimes, you know, they can cancel each other out and it can be sometimes a little bit of a stinker, but you don't get that with orthodoxies. Like, you know, historically, when two southpaws box, it can be a contrast of styles.
Yeah, because they normally jab onto each other's right hand. So the clashes from the actual stance, when they're both leading off from the same shot, they often clash. And so it's like it can slow the fight down in some ways.
I noticed, Spencer, Kakache's saying, if I win it, I'll go down as one of the greatest ever Irish fighters. Will he? Is he right?
Well, he'd certainly be up there, ranked up there. You know, I spoke to people, you know, when you talk about his peers and different people like Cole Frampton talks about this kid and, you know, how good he was in the gym and it was only a matter of time. And he was sort of a guy that was on the circuit, Kakache, and didn't look like he was going to have that breakthrough fight. Went in against Galdino as the underdog and has gone from strength to strength. And I think he will be recognised as one of the greatest Irish fighters ever to do it. You know, when his career is finally over. Yeah, he's getting into his later years now. I think he's 36, 37 years of age, but fighters are going on longer now, and they're getting better and stronger, and Kakache is one of those guys.
What we needed to see, though, Jim, from Kakache over the last couple of years, especially now that his name is out there, is more activity. He just hasn't fought enough. And look, that happens, right? Injuries happen to these fighters all the time in the gyms. You're supposed to fight a guy called Raymond Ford, a very, very good, flashy American in Saudi Arabia, pulled out of that one for injury. And this is his first fight back since Lee Wood, which feels like a long, long time ago. So at this stage of his career, where his name is now sort of lit up in the headlines, he needs to stay busy. So even if he does beat Jazza Dickens and becomes a world champion again, we just need to see more activity from him. As Spencer said, I think he is 37 now. He's only got a year and a half left. I mean, especially if he's cutting weight to 130 pounds. So we just need to see him just a lot more busier, Spence, because we haven't seen that over the last few years.
Yeah, I think you're right, Addy, and that's maybe what's been missing, that inconsistency, you know, with boxing. I know he wants to be busy. He wants to be much more regular. You know, he had that great win for the IBF title, as I said, against Caldini, and then he lost the IBF title outside of the ring, won the IBO title. But now he gets an opportunity for the WBA world title again, and that will then, he'll have the target on his back, and I'm sure that will create the opportunities for him that he needs at this stage of his career, because now he wants to box the best in the division and capture this title on Saturday night. He will get that opportunity.
Okay, Spencer, thank you. We'll return to you very shortly. Spencer Oliver over in Dublin as they prepare for this fight on Saturday night. Dickens and Kakache. More from Duke, Addy and Simon after the 12:30 headlines.
Wear the right footwear. They're all slipping about.
What was that about? Have you ever had that?
Yes, and you have to say to the players, because what they do, players, right? Say I used to wear studs all the time, and I very rarely would I wear, you know, like rubbers, they call them. They used to call them moulded.
Molten.
Well, if you get a bit of grease on top of the pitch at 7:30, a bit of dew comes on the pitch, it becomes like an ice rink if you've got rubbers on. And some of them would wear them because they're comfy. So if you want to be comfy, wear slippers. But you can't play football. So get the right footwear on. You're not allowed to slip. If you slip, if a striker slips, he'll get another chance. But as a defender, I used to say to my players, you're not allowed to slip, by the way, if you're a defender. Don't come in and say, sorry, gaffer, I slipped. What if you slip every week? What if, are you going to slip next week? Wear the right footwear. Van der Ven was sliding all over the place, and the goalkeeper slipped 2 or 3 times, but you've got to feel sorry for him, but he's just got, we'll find out. It's a bit like Karius, wasn't it? You know, that situation where where you think, well, I hope he comes back from it. Because he's only a young lad, and I hope he learns from it. But I'm sure all his teammates would have got round him afterwards. But they are in a right mess.
Absolutely. Listen, the sports bar was the place to be last night after it went viral from the defeat the week before.
Jamie.
Oh, my God. Did you watch all that?
He falls for it every time. I was his manager, Shaban. He used to fall for anything.
You've seen it all.
I told him he was slim. And he believed me.
We're not fat Shaming at 6:10.
Redknapp's told talkSPORT he hasn't had a call from Spurs about saving them from relegation, but he has spoken to former chairman Daniel Levy.
He did say to me, if I was it, he said, look, if I was there now, he said, I would definitely, and I'm not just saying it, he said, I would bring you back into to the end of the season, Harry.
Wow.
You know, so it would have been interesting.
Harry also joked he'd take O'Hara in as his assistant. Now, after a bad night for English teams in the Champions League, even Pep Guardiola admits Man City looked dead and buried. Meanwhile, have we seen this year's Puskas winner?
It was light. If you remember that great Matt Letizia goal that he scored for Southampton against Newcastle, he flicked the ball up past Kevin Scott and stroked it into the bottom corner. It was like that, but possibly even better.
talkSPORT's Jim Proudfoot there. Federico Valverde sealed a first-half hat-trick to give Real Madrid a 3-0 win. Chelsea's Pedro Neto says he's really sorry for pushing a PSG ball boy. He's apologised and given the lad his shirt after their 5-2 defeat in Paris. In the Championship, Frank Lampard's refusing to accept Coventry are as good as promoted. They beat Preston 3-0 to go 8 points clear at the top. And Jack Draper's beaten Novak Djokovic for the first time to keep his Indian Wells title defence on track. There's more at talksport.com.
Boxing update on talkSPORT with DAZN, the global home of boxing. Sign up now at dazn.com/boxing.
Saturday night is fight night on DAZN. This weekend, Jazza Dickens defends his WBA World Super Featherweight title against Anthony Kakache. Kakache waiting to speak to us in the next few minutes. Then on March the 21st, George Liddard takes on Tyler Denny for the British and Commonwealth titles. March the 28th, the spotlight shifts to the man many regard to be the future heavyweight champion of the world, Moses Itoma, taking on Jermaine Franklin. You can watch all of these fights only on DAZN. A big fight on Saturday night then, as we have been discussing, we being Jim White, Simon Jordan, Duke McKenzie and Adeola Depot. Jazza Dickens up against Anthony Kakache for the WBA World Super Featherweight title in Dublin. Let's head to Dublin right now. Anthony Kakache, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, how are you?
Very well indeed, Anthony. I'm with Duke, Addy and Simon. Listen, you're bidding to become two-time Super Featherweight champion of the world. How's the preparation been going?
Yeah, listen, everything's went great. I mean, the camp has probably been the hardest and the best camp I've had so far. So, yeah, I'm just ready to go now.
And Ade here, I feel like you've been travelling all over at the moment. You've almost been the road runner. You've been to Saudi Arabia. You had a fight at Wembley Stadium, Motorpoint Arena against Lee Wood. How does it feel to fight back in Ireland? And not just that, but for a world title fight as well.
Oh, listen here, this is probably, I think this is the first time I've fought in Ireland in over 10, 15 years or something. But yeah, the Roadrunner would be a good name for me. Just tell me where and when, and I'm there. You know, it feels great to be back in Ireland. I sold a hell of a lot of tickets, and I mean, I'm just feeling the love now, and I'm taking it all in.
Anthony, Duke McKenzie, champ. You know, a lot of people are asking how you make the weight. You're massive for the weight. Does that give you an advantage in terms, going at this fight against Jazza, because he will be the much smaller guy? And how's the prep gone? Yeah. I'm interested to know.
Yeah, I mean, I make the weight easy enough. You know, it seems to be actually getting easier as the camps go on.
Right.
So I mean, yeah, I'm big, and I definitely have a
activity you're having. Because you're fighting regular.
Yeah, maybe. I think I'm in the gym a lot, even whenever there's no fights, I'm popping in and out and keeping the weight under control. Right now, I think I'm a kilo over. It's nothing, everything's going grand, you know what I mean? But Jazz is he's a smaller man. He's come up from super bantamweight, but his last 3 performances at super featherweight have been great. He's fought 3 decent contenders, so I'm expecting Jazz to come in big, strong, and ready for a great fight.
We just had Spencer on, Anto, and he was talking about you potentially if you win this fight. And look, we have to say if, because Jazz is the champion, let's give him the respect. But if you win this fight, you'll go down as one of the greatest Irish fighters of all time. Your name will be in that collection. And I mean, you're talking Barry McGuigan, you're talking Carl Frampton. What does that do for you? Does that give you that extra incentive, that carrot being dangled in front of your face, or is it a case of just do the job on Saturday and then let's have that conversation?
No, listen, that's my motivation. I mean, before you go back to 2 years ago, I had absolutely nothing. Nobody wanted to fight me. I got the chance against Joe Cordina. I picked up the IBF, it was the IBO. I mean, all this is just a massive dream to me. I just feel really grateful to be in this position. I mean, again, go back 2 years, I had nothing. Now I'm fighting for my 2nd world title. To go down as one of Ireland's greatest fighters, that's just mind-blowing, you know what I mean? It blows my mind, and I'm just very happy to be in this position.
Yeah, I just got back from the States. I was in the studio with Shakur Stevenson, who I think's the best at 135 pounds, although he could jump to 140. Do you not potentially look at those super fights? I know you're comfortable at making super feather, but do you not look and think, I just had 5 more pounds on, get to America and really get involved in some big fights? I know you're not going to overlook Jazza, so it's a difficult question, but surely you must look at those American boys and think, I fancy a bit of that.
Listen, I would love that, but again, I say I never overlook anyone. Jazz has only come into the spotlight now, he's a WBA world champion. I have to give him his respect. So them fights are all tasty and whatnot, but I can't even answer them questions at this moment, if you get me.
Anthony, what we're going to see then from you on Saturday night, what kind of atmosphere do you think we're going to experience?
Yeah, the atmosphere is going to be crazy. I sold out my tickets in 3 weeks. Crazy support from up around Belfast and all over Ireland. So, I mean, the atmosphere is going to be amazing. I've had a taste of it in Nottingham, in Wembley, and all these places. So, I feel like it's not going to bother me one bit. It's going to be a very positive for me. So I'm just raring to go, mate. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be another box ticked in this mad career of mine.
Anthony, you seem really relaxed, really self-assured. When does the fire start burning? When does that kick in for you? Will it be fight night? Most guys are on edge by now, aren't they? The one way or the other, they're either really, really quiet or they're chomping at the bit. You seem so mellow.
It's been 20. I've been doing this. I've been fighting 25 years.
Gotcha.
I'm used to this. I mean, this is just another day at the office. You know what I mean? This is all just fun. I have my family. I'm a proper pro. I have my father down, my brother down, all the team. I'm relaxed. I mean, the fire will start burning on Saturday morning. When it's time to go, and I'll go in there and produce the goods. Please God.
Fantastic.
Brilliant. Anthony, good luck on Saturday, mate. Can't thank you enough for joining us so close.
Cheers, Anthony.
To the fight. Thank you.
Thank you very much, lads. Appreciate this.
Fantastic. There's one humble man, isn't he?
He's humble and he's scary at the same time. I've been around him at weigh-ins, and Duke asked the question, when does the fire start to burn? At the weigh-ins, when he does the face-off and he stares into you, you start to see that, okay, he's switched. And all of a sudden now he's Anto, the nickname, right? Kakache. I think he's an incredible fight. And I do believe if he does win, and it's going to be a tough fight, I do think he should go up to 135 pounds and take on some of those Americans. He might as well. I mean, again, this is the last chapter in his incredible career. Why not go for it? And he's now got a trinket. If he were to win, he's a champion going up. He's got something to offer. He's got name value.
Yeah. What do you think, Duke? Kakache or Dickens?
Oh, you have to go with Kakache. I think he's mixed in a slightly higher class in terms of the opponent. Take nothing away from Jazza, because he's fought his way up to the top. He's a world champion in his own right. But you have to look. That Joe Cordina fight for me was the one that really put this kid on the map.
Yeah.
He destroyed a world-class fighter.
Brilliant. No, it's going to be something else this Saturday night in Dublin, and it's live on talkSPORT. Back with us after this.
So to me, the manager, when you look at him and the way that they're reacting to him as a manager, is everything that I need to know that this guy is absolutely out of his depth and he's got to get out of that football club.
Yeah.
Because if they stick with this guy, we are gone. This club is gone. Yeah. And then at the end of the season...
Who knows? But hold on a second.
At the end of the season...
So you change your manager and your fortune's going to change?
No, I'm not saying they're going to change, but it can't get any worse.
No,
it can't get any worse than his manager.
Drew the second half today.
Jay, shut up!
Honestly, you don't know what you want.
Stop going on about the second half. You can't keep going on about it. Like, seriously, mate. Seriously, shut up. You can't keep talking about the second half. Oh, we drew the second half, mate. Honestly, I'm trying not to swear. Like, you can't keep saying that, mate. You can't keep saying that. You're a professional pundit. You can't keep saying that.
But you did draw the second half.
Oh, mate, I'm trying to be professional here. I'm not going to. I'm going to swear. I'm going to swear. Go to a break.
You've done it again, haven't you? You've done it again. You've walked. Jay? He's walked out again. I mean, factually, they drew the second half.
As we head towards 1 o'clock, We are talking boxing in the company of Adi Oladipo, fight pundit here at talkSPORT and DAZN host. And of course, Duke McKenzie is in studio, former fighter turned top pundit these days. And Simon and I are making up the numbers very much so during this boxing chat. Duke, in the last few days, the British Boxing Board of Control Awards took place right here in London. We found out one or two things we didn't know. For example, Conor Benn's first clash with Chris Eubank Jr. was Contest of the Year, much to Simon's chagrin, because he didn't rate it. Was that the right decision?
Yeah, I guess for him, it's another win, isn't it? It's another tick box. You know, was it the best fight of the year? I mean, you know, the people liked it. They saw it and they liked it. They voted for it, so it's got the nod.
No, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. It was a fantastic fight, fantastic scrap. Not everything's going to be Shakur Stevenson-esque, where, you know, fighters are wonderfully on the back foot and throwing perfect combinations. Sometimes you just want to see a scrap similar to what you'd see on the cobbles after a night out at Yates, and that's what we got, didn't we? We got a scrap. Two guys that were very proudful and two guys that left it all on the line, even going in the 12th round. I thought it was a fantastic fight and rightly deserved the win.
It was unforgettable. I mean, do you go with it, Duke? You don't sound to me as if you give it a total thumbs up.
Does he? He sounds a bit, I agree.
For me personally...
Stay your ground, Duke. Stay your ground.
Yeah, for me personally, it's not the fight of the year.
What was?
And it's not even... It's not that I've got a gripe against any of them. I haven't got an axe to grind with anybody. I really don't. I don't dislike anybody. But I love the world. I love everyone. I haven't got an axe to grind.
That's lovely to hear, Duke. Just in the passing.
Stick with me. That'll soon change.
Yes. Was that? Are you saying that after your little flashpoint with Conor?
Yeah. Listen, I've got nothing but love for the guy. I don't like or dislike him. You see what I mean?
And does he have nothing but love for you?
Yeah. Well, he does now.
Oh, good.
You know, it appears to have now. I saw him at the British Boxing Board of Control Awards.
Yep.
I just happened to be on table 19. He was on 20. I don't know how that worked, but it did. He was just ahead of me. And then he made a bit of an appearance. He came a little bit late. Then he came down, he sat down, started eating his dinner, had his dinner, and he just got up and came over and said hi. And then he went, he was a little bit hot-headed. He apologised for his actions in Dubai when we had the altercation. Now, as I said, I'm not an angry person. I wasn't about to start rolling around on the floor with him, having a punch up or anything like that. That's not how I am. I've got nothing but love and time for everybody. Anybody that steps into that square circle, I promise you, because I know what it takes. And the fact remains is that he's looked at what he's done. He's had a change of heart, seen the error of his ways. We shook hands. He went his way and I went mine.
That's very much your approach, Simon, isn't it?
Always. Always diplomacy is the best bigger.
Well done, Duke. We're glad that peace has broken out. Addy, WBO heavyweight world champion Fabio Wardley, boxer of the year.
Yeah, two fantastic performances. I thought Justice Hooney, and I was there for that one, in the pouring rain, Portman Road. The way he pulled that one out of the bag, losing really enough every round, and then found something. And it wasn't just a lucky punch, the way he slipped and then threw that right hand. So it shows that he's working and thinking, even going that deep into a fight. And then a Joseph Parker one where he was an underdog. Joseph Parker at the time was considered the second or third best heavyweight in the world. And it wasn't as though it went to points and it was a majority decision or a split. He stopped Joseph Parker. And controversial, I thought, the stoppage. But the fact is, again, 10 years ago, this guy was an accountant, white-collar boxer. And now he's a world heavyweight champion and maybe the second best heavyweight in the world. It's been an incredible journey. It's a movie, Fabio. Honestly, it's a movie. It really is.
Does he beat Daniel Dubois?
I think he's a marginal favourite. I think the fact is, one's coming off a defeat, yes, to Alexander Usyk, but one's coming off a defeat, one's coming off a career best win. He's super confident. I asked Fabio, would you beat Usyk now, in an interview I did with him, and he said yes. That's the confidence he has within himself. So,
wow.
I think he does, but he's going to have to come through something. I'm telling you now, because Dubois, I mean, again, we were there for the AJ fight. I was there for the Miller fight. I was there for the Hrgovic fight. Dubois still got a lot to offer. And don't judge Dubois when losing to the great Alexander Usyk. This is going to be a tremendous fight.
Yeah.
The thing I've got with this particular fight is that had Dubois had a couple of fights, at least one comeback fight, just to get his confidence back, just to know how he's going to react when he gets hit. When you've been knocked out in a world title fight, it robs something from you, it takes something from you, and you need a couple of guys to roll over just to get your confidence back. Without that confidence, I don't know if he can beat Fabio Wardley. I like Daniel Dubois. I don't know if I want to see him win, because Fabio has an air of confidence now. He's got that championship mentality. He walks different. He talks different. He carries himself like a world champion. And that extra 10-15% that you get once you've won a world title, he's got that now. And that's the X factor for me. That's what wins him this fight.
We were both super impressed when Wardley was in here just the other day, Simon. Carries himself well, speaks so well, but he backs it up.
But he's always done that. And just the fact that he's getting more attention now, and what people are doing is stop being lazy about what he's done 10 years ago and talking about what he's doing now. Because really and truly, the constant reference point has been, he came from this. It's irrelevant from where he came from. He's now winning world titles. And that's why, when people make this laughable analysis that the Conor Benn, Chris Eubank fight is fight of the year, when you've had Callum Smith fight Josh Boazio, you've had Joseph Parker fighting Fabio Wardley in an absolute barnstormer of a fight, and people vote for Conor Benn, Chris Eubank as the fight of the year is beyond me.
Yeah. It was brilliant, though, having said that. It was brilliant, honestly, on the night.
It was brilliant because of all the curated nonsense in the background and because of the two names, i.e. their fathers' names. The fight in of itself was like a scrap outside Witherspoons. If that's what you like, that's what you like. I like to see Callum Smith. Yeah. which is the higher class of the two. Yeah, both. But I think, as much as my opinion is worth anything, tragically for Fabio, I pick him to win this fight because, as we know, although recently I've been getting more right than I've been getting wrong, when I pick a fighter to win, it's invariably to lose.
It was more than a scrap outside Witherspoons, wasn't it, Duke? I mean, it was a hell of a scrap.
We're talking about levels. If you're talking about levels and you see where those guys actually are, neither of them are. They haven't been a British, they haven't been a European, they haven't been a world. That might be old school, but that's how you gauge them when they go onto the world scene. Now, we're yet to see the best from Conor Benn. Nobody knows how good or how bad he is, because he hasn't boxed anybody of real world-class stature. If he was fighting Boots Ennis at the weekend and he knocks out Boots Ennis, you'd go, you know what, this boy, he's really got something. But he hasn't reached that level. But he'll call out Boots Ennis. He'll call out anybody, and every dog and his brother.
Yeah,
that's at that world level, from lightweight right through to welterweight. Right through to middleweight. My mistake. So, but we're yet to find out just what Conor Benn is really all about.
He's going in against Regis Prograis next, Addy. Does that wet your whistle in any way? No.
No. I would have preferred to have seen a natural 147-pounder. And even if it is going to be at this catch weight, which I'm not a fan of either, at 150, at least bring someone up from welterweight. And Regis is a 140-pounder. He's 37. The best Regis is long gone. That's not being disrespectful to Regis. I think he's a great guy, but the best Regis we saw was probably 2019 against Josh Taylor.
Yeah.
It's a long time ago. Time ago. I was there for Jack Cattrall versus Regis, and I thought, okay, that might be the swan song. And he spoke about wanting to do bare knuckle, and here he is now fighting Conor Benn. It should have been a welterweight or a guy at 154 coming down.
They watched the other day, Moses Atoma, Young Boxer of the Year, Usyk, Overseas Boxer of the Year. Addy, let's finish on this. Yourself too, Duke. Some big fights coming up. Moses goes in against Jermaine Franklin, 28th of March. 9th of May, Wardley Dubois. In between those two, 4th of April, Deontay Wilder, Derek Chisora. Now, all of these fights across the talkSPORT network, what do we see there, Duke? Wilder, Chisora.
With Wilder and Chisora, this is the crossroads fight. It's their final hurrah. It has to be. Neither of them are what they used to be. Somebody's going to get knocked out, and you have to fancy Derek Chisora because he's the hometown favourite. The crowd love him. Doesn't matter where he goes. Everybody loves Del Boy. Simon might not, but everybody as a fighter, I'm talking about.
Yeah,
because he brings entertainment. I backed against him several times, but for this particular fight, I back him to win.
You back him to win?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Deontay Wilder's a diminished version of himself. No longer that bronze bomber in name, but in terms of what he does in the ring, it isn't that same guy. And I think this is the perfect fight for Chisora to win and then sail off hopefully into the sunset and come on talkSPORT and bother us more, but not fight. Please, no more fights for Chisora after this one.
Of course, it's widely known Wilder is not the fighter he was after his altercation with Let's finish on that conciliatory note. Duke, always good to see you.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you so much. As for you, the much-travelled Addy Oladipo. And as for you, I've nothing really to say.
Good.
We're back, of course, Monday, 10 o'clock. Tomorrow's Friday. That means Sam Matterface alongside Alex Crook and that man Gabby Bonlahor, who I left yesterday at Cheltenham and who I hope to hear from again from 10 onwards. It's Thursday lunchtime and it's 1 o'clock.
Well, we're not going to ridicule and we're not going to persecute, so hopefully it won't be disgusting, Mr. Andrews. But what we will do is talk about the point of a Panenka. I do think it's very self-indulgent. The ultimately, right, the point of a